Just a note before beginning this recording that there are gaps in the story based on the retrieved tablets, and I just read through these gaps as they're presented in the version which I was reading from. And also there are notes interspersed throughout the text, which I don't indicate as notes, but which provide reference to the source material for some of the story, and which serve to fill some of the gaps in the tablets. And lastly, each tablet begins with a short summary of the story that follows, and that is presented in that tablet. So enjoy. The standard version of the Babylonian Gilgamesh epic, He Who Saw the Deep. Tablet 1, The Coming of Enkidu. Prologue and Paean. King Gilgamesh tyrannizes the people of Uruk, who complain to the gods. To divert his superhuman energies, the gods create his counterpart, the wild man Enkidu, who is brought up by the animals of the wild. Enkidu is spotted by a trapper who lures him away from the herd with a prostitute. The prostitute shows him her arts and proposes to take him to Uruk, where Gilgamesh has been seeing him in dreams. He who saw the deep, the country's foundation, who knew, was wise in all matters. Gilgamesh, who saw the deep, the country's foundation, who knew, was wise in all matters. He, everywhere, and learnt of everything the sum of wisdom. He saw what was secret, discovered what was hidden. He brought back a tale of before the deluge. He came a far road, was weary, found peace, and set all his labors on a tablet of stone. He built the rampart of Uruk the sheepfold, of holy Eanna, the sacred storehouse. See its wall like a strand of wool. View its parapet that none could copy. Take the stairway of a bygone era. Draw near to Eanna, seat of Ishtar, the goddess, that no later king could ever copy. Climb Uruk's wall and walk back and forth. Survey its foundations. Examine the brickwork. Were its bricks not fired in an oven? Did the 7 sages not lay its foundations? A square mile is city. A square mile date grove. A square mile is clay pit. Half a square mile the temple of Ishtar. 3 square miles and a half is Uruk's expanse. See the tablet box of cedar. Release its clasp of bronze. Lift the lid of its secret. Pick up the tablet of lapis lazuli and read out the travails of Gilgamesh, all that he went through. Surpassing all other kings, heroic in stature, brave scion of Uruk, wild bull on the rampage. Going at the fore, he was the vanguard. Going at the rear, one of his comrades could trust. A mighty bank, protecting his warriors. A violent flood wave, smashing a stone wall. Wild bull of Lugalbanda, Gilgamesh, the perfect in strength. Suckling of the august wild cow, the goddess Ninsun. Gilgamesh the tall, magnificent and terrible, who opened passes in the mountains, who dug wells on the slopes of the uplands, and crossed the ocean, the wide sea to the sunrise, who scoured the world ever searching for life, and reached through sheer force Uta-Napishti, the distant, who restored the cult centers destroyed by the deluge, and set in place for the people the rights of the cosmos. Who is there can rival his kingly standing, and say like Gilgamesh, "It is I am the king." Gilgamesh was his name from the day he was born, 2/3 of him god and 1/3 human. It was the lady of the gods drew the form of his figure, while his build was perfected by divine Nudamud. A triple cubit was his foot, half a rod his leg, 6 cubits was his stride, cubits the front part of his. His cheeks were bearded like those of the hair of his head grew thickly, as barley. When he grew tall, his beauty was consummate. By earthly standards, he was most handsome. In Uruk the sheepfold he walks back and forth, like a wild bull lording it, head held aloft. He has no equal when his weapons are brandished. His companions are kept on their feet by his contests. The young men of Uruk he harries without warrant. Gilgamesh lets no son go free to his father. By day and by night his tyranny grows harsher. Gilgamesh, the guide of the teeming people. It is he who is shepherd of Uruk the sheepfold. But Gilgamesh lets no daughter go free to her mother. The women voiced their troubles to the goddesses. They brought their complaint before them. Though powerful, preeminent, expert, and mighty, Gilgamesh lets no girl go free to her bridegroom. The warrior's daughter, the young man's bride, to their complaint the goddesses paid heed. The gods of heaven, the lord of initiative, to the god Anu they spoke. A savage wild bull you have bred in Uruk the sheepfold. He has no equal when his weapons are brandished. His companions are kept on their feet by his contests. The young men of Uruk he harries without warrant. Gilgamesh lets no son go free to his father. By day and by night his tyranny grows harsher. Yet he is the shepherd of Uruk the sheepfold, Gilgamesh, the guide of the teeming people, though he is their shepherd and their protector, powerful, preeminent, expert, and mighty. Gilgamesh lets no girl go free to her bridegroom. the warrior's daughter, the young man's bride. To their complaint, the god Anu paid heed. The stanza which gives Anu's reaction has been dropped in the late edition of the epic, but by good fortune it is preserved as a short extract from an older version of the text, which was written by a student scribe on an exercise tablet found in the city of Nippur. Let them summon Uruk, the Great One. She it was created them. Mankind so numerous, let her create the equal of Gilgamesh, one mighty in strength, and let him vie with him, so Uruk may be rested. The text of Tablet 1 resumes. They summoned Uruk, the Great One. You, Uruk, created mankind. Now fashion what Anu has thought of. Let him be a match for the storm of his heart. Let him vie with each other, so Uruk may be rested. The goddess Uruk heard these words. What Anu had thought of she fashioned within her. The goddess Uruk, she washed her hands, took a pinch of clay, threw it down in the wild. In the wild she created Enkidu, the hero, offspring of silence, knit strong by Ninurta. All his body is matted with hair. He bears long tresses like those of a woman. The hair of his head grows thickly as barley. He knows not a people, nor even a country. Coated in hair like the gods of the animals, with the gazelles he grazes on grasses, joining the throng with the game at the waterhole, his heart delighting with the beasts in the water. A hunter, a trapper man, did come upon him by the waterhole. One day, a second, and then a third, he came upon him by the waterhole. When the hunter saw him, his expression froze. But he, with his herds, he went back to his lair. The hunter was troubled, subdued and silent. His mood was despondent, his features gloomy. In his heart there was sorrow. His face resembled one come from afar. The hunter opened his mouth to speak, saying to his father, My father, there was a man came by the waterhole, mightiest in the land. Strength he possesses. His strength is as mighty as a rock from the sky. Over the hills he roams all day. Always with the herd he grazes on grasses. Always his tracks are found by the waterhole. I am afraid, and I dare not approach him. He fills in the pits that I myself dig. He pulls up the snares that I lay. He sets free from my grasp all the beasts of the field. He stops me doing the work of the wild. His father opened his mouth to speak, saying to the hunter, My son, in the city of Uruk, go seek out Gilgamesh. In his presence, his strength is as mighty as a rock from the sky. Take the road, set your face toward Uruk. Do not rely on the strength of a man. Go, my son, and fetch Shamhat the harlot. Her allure is a match for even the mighty. When the herd comes down to the waterhole, she should strip off her raiment to reveal her charms. He will see her and will approach her. His herd will spurn him, though he grew up amongst it. Paying heed to the advice of his father, the hunter went off, set out on the journey. He took the road, set his face toward Uruk. Before Gilgamesh the king, he spoke these words. There was a man came by the waterhole, mightiest in the land. Strength he possesses. His strength is as mighty as a rock from the sky. Over the hills he roams all day. Always with the herd he grazes on grasses. Always his tracks are found by the waterhole. I am afraid, and I dare not approach him. He fills in the pits that I myself dig. He pulls up the snares that I lay. He sets free from my grasp all the beasts of the field. He stops me doing the work of the wild. Said Gilgamesh to him, to the hunter, Go, hunter, take with you Shamhat the harlot. When the herd comes down to the waterhole, she should strip off her raiment to reveal her charms. He will see her, and will approach her. His herd will spurn him, though he grew up amongst it. Off went the hunter, taking Shamhat the harlot. They set out on the road. They started the journey. On the third day, they came to their destination. Hunter and harlot sat down there to wait. One day, and a second, they waited by the waterhole. Then the herd came down to drink the water. The game arrived, their hearts delighting in water, and Enkidu also, born in the uplands. With the gazelles he grazed on grasses, joining the throng with the game at the waterhole, his heart delighting with the beasts in the water. Then Shamhat saw him, the child of nature, the savage man from the midst of the wild. That is he, Shamhat. Uncradle your bosom. Bear your sex. Let him take in your charms. Do not recoil, but take in his scent. He will see you, and will approach you. Spread your clothing so he may lie on you. Do for the man the work of a woman. Let his passion caress and embrace you. His herd will spurn him, though he grew up amongst it. Shamhat unfastened the cloth of her loins. She bared her sex, and he took in her charms. She did not recoil. She took in his scent. She spread her clothing, and he lay upon her. She did for the man the work of a woman. His passion caressed and embraced her. For 6 days and 7 nights Enkidu was erect, as he coupled with Shamhat. When with her delights he was fully sated, he turned his gaze to his herd. The gazelles saw Enkidu. They started to run. The beasts of the field shied away from his presence. Enkidu had defiled his body so pure. His legs stood still, though his herd was in motion. Enkidu was weakened. He could not run as before, but now he had reason and wide understanding. He came back and sat at the feet of the harlot, watching the harlot, observing her features. Then to the harlot's words he listened intently. as Shamhat talked to him, to Enkidu. "You are handsome, Enkidu. You are just like a god. Why with the beasts do you wander the wild? Come, I will take you to Uruk the sheepfold, to the sacred temple, home of Anu and Ishtar, where Gilgamesh is perfect in strength, like a wild bull lording it over the menfolk." So she spoke to him, and her word found favor. He knew by instinct he should seek a friend. Said Enkidu to her, to the harlot, "Come, Shamhat, take me along to the sacred temple, holy home of Anu and Ishtar, where Gilgamesh is perfect in strength, like a wild bull lording it over the menfolk. I will challenge him, for my strength is mighty. I will vaunt myself in Uruk, saying, I am the mightiest. There, I shall change the way things are ordered. One born in the wild is mighty. Strength he possesses." Shamhat, "Let the people see your face. That exists, I know indeed. Go, Enkidu, to Uruk the sheepfold, where young men are girt with waistbands. Every day in Uruk there is a festival. Their drums there rap out the beat, and there are harlots, most comely of figure, graced with charm and full of delights. Even the aged they rouse from their beds. O Enkidu, as yet so ignorant of life, I will show you Gilgamesh, a man happy and carefree. Look at him, regard his features. He is fair in manhood, dignified in bearing, graced with charm is his whole person. He has a strength more mighty than yours. Unsleeping he is by day and by night. O Enkidu, cast aside your sinful thoughts. Gilgamesh it is whom divine Shamash loves. The gods Anu, Enlil, and Ea have broadened his wisdom. Before you even came from the uplands, Gilgamesh in Uruk was seeing you in dreams. Gilgamesh rose to relate a dream, saying to his mother, O mother, this is the dream I had in the night. The stars of the heavens appeared above me, like a rock from the sky. One fell down before me. I lifted it up, but it weighed too much for me. I tried to roll it, but I could not dislodge it. The land of Uruk was standing around it. The land was gathered about it. A crowd was milling about before it. The menfolk were thronging around it. Like a babe in arms, they were kissing its feet. Like a wife I loved it, caressed and embraced it. I lifted it up, set it down at your feet, and you, O mother, you, made it my equal. The mother of Gilgamesh was clever and wise, well versed in everything. She said to her son, Wild cow Ninsun was clever and wise, well versed in everything. She said to Gilgamesh, The stars of heaven appeared above you. Like a rock from the sky, one fell down before you. You lifted it up, but it weighed too much for you. You tried to roll it, but you could not dislodge it. You lifted it up, set it down at my feet, and I, Ninsun, I made it your equal. Like a wife you loved it, caressed it, and embraced it. A mighty comrade will come to you, and be his friend's savior. Mightiest in the land, strength he possesses. His strength is as mighty as a rock from the sky. Like a wife you'll love him, caress and embrace him. He will be mighty, and often will save you. Having had a second dream, he rose and entered before the goddess, his mother. Said Gilgamesh to her, to his mother, Once more, O mother, have I had a dream. In a street of Uruk, the town square, an axe was lying with the crowd gathered round. The land of Uruk was standing around it. The country was gathered about it. A crowd was milling about before it. The menfolk were thronging around it. I lifted it up and set it down at your feet. Like a wife I loved it, caressed and embraced it. And you, O mother, you made it my equal. The mother of Gilgamesh was clever and wise, well versed in everything. She said to her son, Wild cow Ninsun was clever and wise, well versed in everything. She said to Gilgamesh, My son, the axe you saw is a friend. Like a wife you'll love him, caress and embrace him. And I, Ninsun, I shall make him your equal. A mighty comrade will come to you, and be his friend's savior. Mightiest in the land, strength he possesses. His strength is as mighty as a rock from the sky. Said Gilgamesh to her, to his mother, May it befall me, O mother, by a counselor Enlil's command. Let me acquire a friend to counsel me. A friend to counsel me I will acquire. So did Gilgamesh see his dreams. After Shamhat had told Enkidu the dreams of Gilgamesh, the two of them together began making love. Tablet 2. The Taming of Enkidu. The prostitute takes Enkidu to a shepherd's camp, where he is instructed in the ways of men and becomes the shepherd's watchman. A passing stranger tells him how in Uruk Gilgamesh exercises droit de seigneur at wedding ceremonies. Enkidu, shocked by this practice, enters Uruk and interrupts the proceedings. Gilgamesh and Enkidu fight until Enkidu accepts Gilgamesh's supremacy, whereupon the pair become firm friends. In search of fame and glory, Gilgamesh proposes an expedition to the forest of cedar, ignoring Enkidu's warning of the dangers. They knit themselves out with weapons. Gilgamesh announces his plans to the assembly of Uruk. The elders try to dissuade him. Enkidu was sitting before her. A lacuna follows the opening line of Tablet 2, and when the text resumes, the lines are still not fully recovered. The big old Babylonian Pennsylvania tablet supplies a better preserved account, though one that partly overlaps with Tablet 1. While the two of them together were making love, he forgot the wild where he was born. For 7 days and 7 nights Enkidu was erect and coupled with Shamhat. The harlot opened her mouth, saying to Enkidu, As I look at you, Enkidu, you are like a god. Why with the beasts do you wander the wild? Come, I will lead you to Uruk the town square, to the sacred temple, the home of Anu. Enkidu, arise, let me take you to the temple of Eanna, the home of Anu, where men are engaged in labors of skill. You, too, like a man, will find a place for yourself. Her words he heard, her speech found favor. The counsel of a woman struck home in his heart. She stripped and clothed him in part of her garment. The other part she put on herself. The text of Tablet 2 resumes. By the hand she took him. Like a god, she led him to the shepherd's camp, the site of the sheep pen. The band of shepherds was gathered around him, talking about him among themselves. This fellow, how like in build he is to Gilgamesh, tall in stature, proud as a battlement. For sure it's Enkidu, born in the uplands. His strength is as mighty as a rock from the sky. Bread they set before him, ale they set before him. Enkidu ate not the bread, but looked askance. Here Tablet 2 becomes fragmentary again, and the episode is best taken from the old Babylonian Pennsylvania tablet. How to eat bread Enkidu knew not, how to drink ale he had never been shown. The harlot opened her mouth, saying to Enkidu, Eat the bread, Enkidu, essential to life, drink the ale, the lot of the land. Enkidu ate the bread until he was sated. He drank the ale, a full 7 goblets. His mood became free. He started to sing. His heart grew merry. His face lit up. The barber groomed his body so hairy, anointed with oil, he turned into a man. He put on a garment, became like a warrior. He took up his weapons to do battle with lions. The text of Tablet 2 resumes again. When at night the shepherds lay sleeping, he struck down wolves. He chased off lions. Sleeping lay the senior shepherds. Their shepherd, boy Enkidu, a man wide awake. A certain fellow had been invited to a wedding. To Uruk the sheepfold he was going for the banquet. Here another lacuna intervenes in Tablet 2, which the old Babylonian tablet again helps to fill. Enkidu was having his pleasure with Shamhat. He lifted his eyes, caught sight of the man, and thus he spoke to the harlot. Shamhat, bring the man over. Why he came here. Let me learn his reason. The harlot hailed the man, went up to him, spoke to him. Where do you hurry to, fellow? What is your journey so toilsome? The fellow opened his mouth, saying to Enkidu, I was invited to a wedding banquet. It is the lot of the people to contract a marriage. I shall load the ceremonial table with tempting foods for the wedding feast. For the king of Uruk the town square, the veil will be parted for the one who picks first. For Gilgamesh, the king of Uruk the town square, the veil will be parted for the one who picks first. He will couple with the wife-to-be, he first of all, the bridegroom after. By divine consent, it is so ordained. When his navel cord was cut, for him, she was destined. At the fellow's words, his face paled in anger. Off goes Enkidu, with Shamhat following. He entered the city of Uruk the town square, and a crowd gathered around. He came to a halt in the street of Uruk the town square. All gathered about. The people discussed him. In build, he is the image of Gilgamesh, but shorter in stature, and bigger of bone. For sure, it's the one who was born in the uplands. Animal's milk is what he was suckled on. In Uruk, they held regular festivals of sacrifice. Young men made merry, set up a champion for the fellow whose features were fair. For Gilgamesh, like a god, was set up a rival. For the goddess of weddings, the bed was laid out. Gilgamesh met with the maiden by night. Forward came Enkidu. He stood in the street, blocking the path of Gilgamesh. The text of Tablet 2 becomes legible once more. The land of Uruk was standing around him. The land was gathered about him. The crowd was milling about before him. The menfolk were thronging around him. Like a babe in arms, they were kissing his feet. Already the fellow, for the goddess of weddings, was ready to bed. For Gilgamesh, like a god, was set up a substitute. Enkidu, with his foot, blocked the door of the wedding house, not allowing Gilgamesh to enter. They seized each other at the door of the wedding house. In the street, they joined combat in the square of the land. The door jambs shook. The wall did shudder. In the street, Gilgamesh and Enkidu joined combat in the square of the land. The door jambs shook. The wall did shudder. Another lacuna intervenes, again partly to be filled by the old Babylonian Pennsylvania tablet. Gilgamesh knelt, one foot on the ground. His anger subsided. He broke off from the fight. After he broke off from the fight, said Enkidu to him, to Gilgamesh, as one unique, your mother bore you, the wild cow of the fold, the goddess Ninsun. High over warriors you are exalted. To be king of the people, Enlil made it your destiny. At this point, the old Babylonian Pennsylvania tablet ends. Its sequel, the Yale tablet, is less well preserved. In the first intelligible episode, Enkidu is speaking to Gilgamesh. Why do you desire to do this thing? Anything. Do you want so much? Let me. A feat that never was done in the land. They kissed each other and formed a friendship. Another lacuna tablet, too, resumes with an episode in which Gilgamesh introduces Enkidu to his mother. The mightiest in the land, strength he possesses. His strength is as mighty as a rock from the sky. He is tall in stature, proud as a battlement. The mother of Gilgamesh opened her mouth to speak, saying to her son, Wild Cow Ninsun opened her mouth to speak, saying to Gilgamesh, "My son, in his gate, bitterly you hold, in his gate, bitterly he. Enkidu possesses no kith or kin, shaggy hair hanging loose. He was born in the wild and has no brother." Standing there, Enkidu heard what she said, and thinking it over, he sat down weeping. His eyes brimmed with tears. His arms fell limp. His strength ebbed away. They took hold of each other and they linked their hands like Gilgamesh. To Enkidu, he spoke a word, saying, "Why, my friend, did your eyes brim with tears, your arms fall limp, your strength ebb away?" Said Enkidu to him, to Gilgamesh, "My friend, my heart is aggrieved. Through sobbing, my legs do tremble. Terror has entered my heart." The old Babylonian Yale tablet fills the gap in the standard version. Gilgamesh opened his mouth, saying to Enkidu, "Ferocious Humbaba, let us slay him, so his power is no more. In the forest of cedar, where Humbaba dwells, let us frighten him in his lair." Enkidu opened his mouth, saying to Gilgamesh, "I knew him, my friend, in the uplands, where I roamed here and there with the herd. For 60 leagues the forest is a wilderness. Who is there would venture inside it? Humbaba, his voice is the deluge, his speech is fire, and his breath is death. Why do you desire to do this thing? An unwinnable battle is Humbaba's ambush." Gilgamesh opened his mouth, saying to Enkidu, "I will climb, my friend, the forest slopes." The text of Tablet 2 resumes. Enkidu opened his mouth to speak, saying to Gilgamesh, "My friend, how can we go to the home of Humbaba?" So, to keep safe the cedars, Enlil made it his lot to terrify men. That is a journey which must not be made. That is a man who must not be looked on. He who guards the forest of cedar, his reach is wide. Humbaba, his voice is the deluge. His speech is fire, his breath is death. He hears the forest murmur at 60 leagues distance. Who is there would venture into his forest? Adad ranks first, and Humbaba second. Who is there would oppose him among the Ajiji? So, to keep safe the cedars, Enlil made it his lot to terrify men. If you penetrate his forest, you are seized by the tremors. Gilgamesh opened his mouth to speak, saying to Enkidu, "Why, my friend, do you speak like a weakling? With your spineless words, you make me despondent. As for man, his days are numbered. Whatever he may do, it is but wind. Exists not for me. You were born and grew up in the wild. Even lions were afraid of you. You experienced all. Grown men fled away from your presence. Your heart is tried and tested in combat. Come, my friend, let us hie to the forge." A short lacuna follows. It can be filled from the old Babylonian Yale tablet. "Let them cast us hatchets in our presence." They took each other by the hand and hied to the forge, where the smiths were sitting in consultation. Great hatchets they cast, and axes weighing 3 talents apiece. Great daggers they cast, 2 talents apiece were the blades, 1/2 of a talent the crests of their handles, 1/2 a talent apiece the daggers, gold mountings. Gilgamesh and Enkidu bore 10 talents each. He bolted the 7-fold gates of Uruk. He convened the assembly. The crowd gathered round. In the street of Uruk, the town square, Gilgamesh seated himself on his throne. In the street of Uruk, the town square, the crowd was sitting before him. Thus Gilgamesh spoke to the elders of Uruk, the town square. "Hear me, O elders of Uruk, the town square. I would tread the path to ferocious Humbaba. I would see the god of whom men talk, whose name the lands do constantly repeat. I will conquer him in the forest of cedar. Let the land learn Uruk's offshoot is mighty. Let me start out. I will cut down the cedar. I will establish forever a name eternal." The text of Tablet 2 resumes. Then Gilgamesh spoke to the young men of Uruk the sheepfold. "Hear me, O young men of Uruk the sheepfold, O young men of Uruk, who understand combat. Bold as I am, I shall tread the distant path to the home of Humbaba. I shall face a battle I know not. I shall ride a road I know not. Give me your blessings as I go on my journey, so I may see again your faces in safety, and return, glad at heart, through Uruk's gate. On my return I will celebrate New Year twice over. I will celebrate the festival twice in a year. Let the festival take place, the merriment begin. Let the drums resound before wild Cow Ninsun." Enkidu offered counsel to the elders and the young men of Uruk who understood combat. "Tell him not to go to the forest of cedar. That is a journey which must not be made. That is a man who must not be looked on. He who guards the forest of cedar, his reach is wide. This Humbaba, his voice is the deluge, his speech is fire, his breath is death. He hears the forest murmur at 60 leagues distance. Who is there would venture into his forest? Adad ranks first, and Humbaba second. Who is there would oppose him among the Ajiji? So, to keep safe the cedars, Enlil made it his lot to terrify men. If you penetrate his forest, you are seized by the tremors." The senior advisors rose. Good counsel they offered Gilgamesh. "You are young, Gilgamesh, borne along by emotion. All that you talk of, you don't understand. This Humbaba, his voice is the deluge, his speech is fire, his breath is death. He hears the forest murmur at 60 leagues distance. Who is there would venture into his forest? Adad ranks first, and Humbaba second. Who is there would oppose him among the Ajiji? So to keep safe the cedars, Enlil made his lot to terrify men. Gilgamesh heard the words of the senior advisors. He looked with a laugh at Enkidu. Now, my friend, how frightened I am. In fear of him, shall I change my mind? The rest of Tablet 2, perhaps 20 lines containing Gilgamesh's reply to his counselors, is lost. Tablet 3. Preparations for the expedition to the forest of cedar. The elders give Gilgamesh and Enkidu advice for their journey. The two heroes visit the goddess Ninsun, who enlists the help of the sun god, Shamash, and the aid of his wife, Aya. Ninsun adopts the orphaned Enkidu. Gilgamesh gives instructions for the governing of Uruk in his absence. The heroes depart. The elders of Uruk the sheepfold spoke to Gilgamesh. To Uruk's key, come back in safety. Do not rely, O Gilgamesh, on your strength alone. Look long and hard. Land a blow you can count on. Who goes in front saves his companion. Who knows the road protects his friend. Let Enkidu go before you. He knows the journey to the forest of cedar. He is tested in battle and tried in combat. He shall guard his friend and keep safe his companion. Enkidu shall bring him safe home to his wives. To Enkidu, in our assembly we place the king in your care. You bring him back and replace him in ours. Gilgamesh opened his mouth to speak, saying to Enkidu, Come, my friend, let us go to the palace sublime, into the presence of the great Queen Ninsun. Ninsun is clever and wise, well versed in everything. She will set our feet in steps of good counsel. Taking each other hand in hand, Gilgamesh and Enkidu went to the palace sublime, into the presence of the great Queen Ninsun. Gilgamesh rose and entered before her. Said Gilgamesh to her, to Ninsun, I shall tread, O Ninsun, bold as I am, the distant path to the home of Humbaba. I shall face a battle I know not. I shall ride a road I know not. I beseech you, give me your blessing for my journey. Let me see your face again in safety, and return glad at heart through Uruk's gate. On my return I will celebrate New Year twice over. I will celebrate the festival twice in the year. Let the festival take place, the merriment begin. Let the drums resound in your presence. Wild Cow Ninsun listened long, and with sadness to the words of Gilgamesh her son, and Enkidu. Into the bathhouse she went 7 times. She bathed herself in water of tamarisk and soapwort. She donned a fine dress to adorn her body. She chose a jewel to adorn her breast. Having put on her cap, she donned her tiara, the harlots, the ground. She climbed the staircase and went up on the roof. On the roof she set up a censer to Shamash. Scattering incense, she lifted her arms in appeal to the sun god. Why did you afflict my son Gilgamesh with so restless a spirit? For now you have touched him, and he will tread the distant path to the home of Humbaba. He will face a battle he knows not. He will ride a road he knows not. During the days of his journey there and back, until he reaches the forest of cedar, until he slays ferocious Humbaba, and annihilates from the land the evil thing you abhor. Each day, when you travel the circuit of the earth, may Aya, the bride, unfearing remind you, and trust him to the care of the watches of the night, at eventide. You opened, O Shamash, the gates for the herd to go out, for you came forth for the land. The uplands took shape, the heavens grew bright, the beasts of the wild, your ruddy glow. At the coming forth of your light is gathered the crowd, the divine Anunnaki await your brilliance. May Aya the bride, unfearing, remind you, and trust him to the care of the watches of the night. Also, while Gilgamesh travels to the forest of cedar, let the days be long, let the nights be short, let his loins be girt, let his stride be sure. Let him pitch at nightfall a camp for the night, let nighttime. May Aya the bride unfearing remind you, the day Gilgamesh and Enkidu encounter Humbaba. O Shamash, rouse against Humbaba the mighty gale winds, south wind, north wind, east wind, and west wind, blast, counterblast, typhoon, hurricane, and tempest, devil wind, frost wind, gale, and tornado. Let rise 13 winds, and Humbaba's face darken. Let the weapons of Gilgamesh then reach Humbaba. After your very own fires are kindled, at that time, O Shamash, turn your face to the supplicant. Your sleep-footed mules shall bear you onwards. A restful seat, a bed for the night, shall be what awaits you. The gods, your brothers, shall bring food to delight you. Aya the bride shall wipe your face dry with the fringe of her garment. Again, Wild Cow Ninsun made her request before Shamash. O Shamash, will not Gilgamesh, the gods, will he not share the heavens with you? Will he not share with the moon a scepter and crown? Will he not grow wise with Ea of the ocean below? Will he not rule with Urnina, the black-headed people? Will he not dwell with Ningish Zeta in the land of no return? Let me make him, O Shamash, lest he, in the forest of cedar. After Wild Cow Ninsun had charged Shamash thus, Wild Cow Ninsun was clever and wise, well versed in everything, the mother of Gilgamesh. She smothered the censer and came down from the roof. She summoned Enkidu and declared her will. O mighty Enkidu, you are not sprung from my womb, but henceforth your brood will belong with the votaries of Gilgamesh, the priestesses. the arrow duels, and the women of the temple. She put the symbols on Enkidu's neck. The priestesses took in the foundling, and the divine daughters brought up the foster child. Enkidu, whom I love, I take for my son. Enkidu in brotherhood, Gilgamesh shall favor him. Also, while you travel together to the forest of cedar, let the days be long, let the nights be short, let your loins be girt, let your stride be sure. At nightfall, pitch a camp for the night. Let, protect. After another lacuna, there follows an episode in which Gilgamesh and Enkidu apparently perform rituals in aid of a safe journey, but it remains very badly damaged. Gilgamesh, his, to the gate of cedar, Enkidu in the chapel, and Gilgamesh in the chapel of juniper, incense, members of the, were present. By the command of Shamash, you will attain your desire. In the gate of Marduk, on the breast of the water, the back, in the gate of cedar, not, Gilgamesh, and Enkidu, at 20 leagues, you should break bread. After a long lacuna, Gilgamesh gives instructions for the running of the city in his absence. During the days of our journey there and back, until we reach the forest of cedar, until we slay ferocious Humbaba and annihilate from the land the evil thing Shamash abhors, may you acquire no. The officers must not assemble young men in the street, judge the lawsuit of the weak, seek out, while we attain our desire like babes in arms, and plant our weapons in Humbaba's gate. The officers stood there wishing him well. The young men of Uruk ran behind in a mob, and the officers kissed his feet. To Uruk's key, come back in safety. Do not rely, O Gilgamesh, on your strength alone. Look long and hard, land a blow you can count on. Who goes in front will save his comrade. Who knows the road shall guard his friend. Let Enkidu go before you. He knows the journey to the forest cedar. He is tested in battle and tried in combat. Through the mountain passes he often has journeyed. He shall guard his friend and keep safe his companion. Enkidu shall bring him safe home to his wives. To Enkidu, in our assembly we place the king in your care. You bring him back and replace him in ours. Enkidu opened his mouth to speak, saying to Gilgamesh, my friend, turn back. Do not pursue this journey. The rest of Tablet 3, perhaps 10 lines, is missing. The departure of the heroes is described in the old Babylonian Yale tablet, though the text becomes increasingly fragmentary. Enkidu opened his mouth, saying to Gilgamesh, where you've set your mind, begin the journey. Let your heart have no fear. Keep your eyes on me. In the forest I knew his lair, and the ways, too, that Humbaba wanders. Speak to the crowd and send them home. They should not go with me. To you, the crowd with happy heart, they heard what he had said. The young men made a fervent prayer. Go, Gilgamesh. May your God go before you. May Shamash let you attain your goal. Gilgamesh and Enkidu went forth. Tablet 4, the journey to the forest of cedar. Every 3 days in the course of their journey, Gilgamesh and Enkidu pitch camp on a hillside and conduct a ritual to provoke a dream. Each time Gilgamesh wakes from a nightmare, but Enkidu reassures him that his dream is favorable after all. After at least 5 such dreams, the heroes draw near to the forest of cedar. Shamash advises a speedy attack in order to catch unawares the ogre Humbaba, who guards the cedar cloaked in his 7 auras. As the heroes anxiously try to allay each other's fears, they arrive at the forest. At 20 leagues they broke bread. At 30 leagues they pitched camp. 50 leagues they traveled in the course of a day. By the 3rd day, a march of a month and a half. Near they drew to Mount Lebanon. Facing the sun, they dug a well. They put fresh water in. Gilgamesh climbed to the top of the mountain. To the hill he poured out an offering of flour. O mountain, bring me a dream, so I see a good sign. Enkidu made for Gilgamesh a house of the dream god. He fixed a door in its doorway to keep out the weather. In the circle he had drawn, he made him lie down, and falling flat, like a net, lay himself in the doorway. Gilgamesh rested his chin on his knees. Sleep fell upon him, that spills over people. In the middle of the night he reached his sleep's end. He rose and spoke to his friend. My friend, did you not call me? Why have I awakened? Did you not touch me? Why am I startled? Did a god not pass by? Why is my flesh frozen numb? My friend, I have had the first dream. The dream that I had was in utter confusion. In a mountain valley, the mountain fell down on top of. Then, we like the one born in the wild, knew how to give counsel. Enkidu spoke to his friend, gave his dream meaning. My friend, your dream is a good omen. The dream is precious and bodes us well. My friend, the mountain you saw could not be Humbaba. We shall capture Humbaba. Him we shall slay. We shall cast down his corpse on the field of battle, and next morning we shall see a good sign from the sun god. At 20 leagues they broke bread. At 30 leagues they pitched camp. 50 leagues they traveled in the course of a day. By the 3rd day, a march of a month and a half. Near they drew to Mount Lebanon. Facing the sun, they dug a well. They put fresh water in. Gilgamesh climbed to the top of the mountain. To the hill he poured out an offering of flour. O mountain, bring me a dream, so I see a good sign. Enkidu made for Gilgamesh a house of the dream god. He fixed a door in its doorway to keep out the weather. In the circle he had drawn, he made him lie down, and falling flat, like a net, lay himself in the doorway. Gilgamesh rested his chin on his knees. Sleep fell upon him, that spills over people. In the middle of the night he reached his sleep's end. He rose and spoke to his friend. My friend, did you not call me? Why have I awakened? Did you not touch me? Why am I startled? Did a god not pass by? Why is my flesh frozen numb? My friend, I have had the second dream. Gilgamesh's relation of his second dream has not survived in Tablet 4, but the gap can be filled by a paraphrase of an earlier version of the epic, which comes from the Hittite capital, Hattusa, and dates to the Middle Babylonian period. My second dream surpasses the first. In my dream, my friend, a mountain, it threw me down, it held me by my feet. The brightness grew more intense. A man appeared, the comeliest in the land, his beauty. From beneath the mountain he pulled me out, and he gave me water to drink, and my heart grew calm. On the ground he set my feet. Enkidu spoke to him, saying to Gilgamesh, my friend, we shall. He is different altogether. Humbaba is not the mountain. He is different altogether. Come, cast aside your fear. The text of Tablet 4 resumes. At 20 leagues they broke bread. At 30 leagues they pitched camp. 50 leagues they traveled in the course of a day. By the third day, a march of a month and a half, nearer they drew to Mount Lebanon. Facing the sun they dug a well. They put fresh water in. Gilgamesh climbed to the top of the mountain. To the hill he poured out an offering of flour. O mountain, bring me a dream, so I see a good sign. Enkidu made for Gilgamesh a house of the dream god. He fixed a door in its doorway to keep out the weather. In the circle he had drawn, he made him lie down, and falling flat like a net, lay himself in the doorway. Gilgamesh rested his chin on his knees. Sleep fell upon him, that spills over people. In the middle of the night he reached his sleep's end. He rose and spoke to his friend. My friend, did you not call me? Why have I wakened? Did you not touch me? Why am I startled? Did a god not pass by? Why is my flesh frozen numb? My friend, I have had the third dream. The dream that I had was in utter confusion. Heaven cried aloud, while earth did rumble. The day grew still, darkness came forth. There was a flash of lightning, fire broke out. The flames flared up, death rained down, and the flashes of fire went out. Where it had fallen turned into cinders. You were born in the wild. Can we take counsel? Having heard the words of his friend, Enkidu gave the dream meaning, saying to Gilgamesh, my friend, your dream is a good omen. Fine is its message. The rest of Enkidu's explanation of the third dream is lost, but this lacuna in Tablet 4 can be filled in part from the old Babylonian school tablet from Nippur. We draw, my friend, even near the forest. The dreams are close, the battle soon. You will see the radiant auras of the god of Humbaba, whom in your thoughts you fear so much. Locking horns like a bull, you will batter him, and force his head down with your strength. The old man you saw is your powerful god, the one who begot you, divine Lugalbanda. The text of Tablet 4 becomes available again. At 20 leagues they broke bread. At 30 leagues they pitched camp. 50 leagues they traveled in the course of a day. By the third day, a march of a month and a half, nearer they drew to Mount Lebanon. Facing the sun they dug a well. They put fresh water in. Gilgamesh climbed to the top of the mountain. To the hill he poured out an offering of flour. O mountain, bring me a dream, so I see a good sign. Enkidu made for Gilgamesh a house of the dream god. He fixed a door in its doorway to keep out the weather. In the circle he had drawn, he made him lie down, and falling flat, like a net, lay himself in the doorway. Gilgamesh rested his chin on his knees. Sleep fell upon him, that spills over people. In the middle of the night he reached his sleep's end. He rose and spoke to his friend. My friend, did you not call me? Why have I wakened? Did you not touch me? Why am I startled? Did a god not pass by? Why is my flesh frozen numb? My friend, I have had the fourth dream. The details of the fourth dream and its explanation are not well preserved in Tablet 4, but the old Babylonian tablet from Nippur supplies a more complete version of the text. My friend, I have had the fourth. It surpasses my other three dreams. I saw a thunderbird in the sky. Up it rose like a cloud, soaring above us. Its visage distorted. Its mouth was fire. Its breath was death. There was also a man. He was strange of form. And stood there in my dream. He bound its wings and took hold of my arm. He cast it down before me, upon it. After a short lacuna, Enkidu explains the dream. You saw a thunderbird in the sky. Up it rose like a cloud, soaring above us. Its visage distorted. Its mouth was fire. Its breath was death. You will fear its awesome splendor. I shall, its foot, and let you rise. The man you saw was mighty Shamash. The text of Tablet 4 resumes, though badly broken. My friend, favorable is your dream. This, Humbaba like, will be kindled upon him. We shall bring about his. We shall bind his wings. We shall stand upon him. And next morning we shall see a good sign from the sun god. At 20 leagues they broke bread. At 30 leagues they pitched camp. 50 leagues they traveled in the course of a day. Facing the sun, they dug a well. They put fresh water in. Gilgamesh climbed to the top of the mountain. To the hill, he poured out an offering of flour. O mountain, bring me a dream, so I see a good sign. Enkidu made for Gilgamesh a house of the dream god. He fixed a door in his doorway to keep out the weather. In the circle he had drawn, he made him lie down, and falling flat like a net, lay himself in the doorway. Gilgamesh rested his chin upon his knees. Sleep fell upon him, that spills over people. In the middle of the night he reached his sleep's end. He rose and spoke to his friend. My friend, did you not call me? Why have I wakened? Did you not touch me? Why am I startled? Did a god not pass by? Why is my flesh frozen numb? My friend, I have had the fifth dream. Lacuna, another account of one of the dreams, and Enkidu's explanation of it survives in an old Babylonian tablet from Tel Harmal, ancient Shadupum. My friend, I had a dream. How ominous it was, how desolate, how unclear. I had taken me hold of a bull from the wild, as it clove the ground with its bellows. The clouds of dust it raised, thrust deep in the sky, and I, in front of it, leaned myself forward, taking hold of and closed my arms. He extricated me by force, my cheek, he gave me water to drink from his water skin. The god, my friend, we are going against. He's not the wild bull. He's different altogether. The wild bull you saw was shining Shamash. He will grasp our hands in time of peril. The one who gave you water to drink from his skin was your god who respects you, divine Lugalbanda. We shall join forces and do something unique, a feat that never has been in the land. When the text of Tablet 4 resumes, the heroes have almost reached the forest of cedar, and Enkidu is giving Gilgamesh courage. Why, my friend, do your tears flow? Oh, offshoot sprung from Uruk's midst. Now stand and, Gilgamesh the king, offshoot sprung from Uruk's midst. Shamash heard what he had spoken. Straight away from the sky there cried out a voice. Hurry, stand against him. Humbaba must not enter his forest. He must not go down to the grove. He must not wrap himself in his 7 cloaks. 1 he is wrapped in. 6 he has shed. They, like a fierce wild bull, horns locked. He bellowed once, a bellow full of terror. The guardian of the forests was bellowing. Humbaba was thundering like the god of the storm. A long lacuna intervenes. Then Enkidu opened his mouth to speak, saying to Gilgamesh, have come down, and my arms grow stiff. Gilgamesh opened his mouth to speak, saying to Enkidu, why, my friend, do we speak like weaklings? Was it not we crossed all of the mountains? Did not, before we withdraw, my friend, experiencing combat, who, battle, you, and you fear not, like a dervish, and change. Let your shout resound like a kettle drum. Let the stiffness leave your arms, the tremors, your knees. Take my hand, friend, and we shall go on together. Let your thoughts dwell on combat. Forget death and seek life. The careful man. Let him who goes first be on guard for himself and bring his comrade to safety. It is they made a name for days long in the future. At the distant, the 2 of them arrived. They ceased their talking and came to a halt. Tablet 5. The combat with Humbaba. After admiring the mountain, dense grown with cedar, the heroes draw their weapons and creep into the forest. Humbaba confronts them and accuses Enkidu of treachery. Enkidu urges swift action. Gilgamesh and Humbaba fight, and Shamash sends the 13 winds to blind Humbaba and win victory for his protege. Humbaba pleads for his life. Enkidu again urges haste, telling Gilgamesh to kill Humbaba before the gods find out. Humbaba curses the heroes, who promptly kill him and begin felling cedar in the sacred groves. From one especially magnificent cedar, Enkidu vows to make a great door to adorn the temple of the god Enlil. They stood there marveling at the forest, gazing at the lofty cedars, gazing at forest's entrance. Where Humbaba came and went, there was a track. The path was straight and the way well trodden. They saw the mountain of cedar, seat of gods and goddesses' throne. On the face of the mountain, the cedar proffered its abundance. Its shade was sweet and full of delight. Thick tangled was the thorn, the forest a shrouding canopy. Cedar, Baluku trees. After a lacuna intervenes, this text continues, though it is not completely recovered. At once the dirks, and from the scabbards the axes were smeared. Hatchet and dirk in. 1. They stole into. Humbaba. Gilgamesh opened his mouth to speak, saying to Enkidu, what, my friend? For Enlil. Enkidu opened his mouth to speak, saying to Gilgamesh, my friend, Humbaba, 1 to 1. 2 garments, however, even a glass's slope 2, climbing can conquer. 2. A 3-ply rope is not easily broken. Even a mighty lion 2 cubs can overcome. A fragment of this conversation is also observed on a second old Babylonian tablet from Tel Harmal. We have come to a place where a man shouldn't go. Let us set our weapons in the gate of Humbaba, Enkidu declared to his friend. A tempest's onslaught is ferocious, Humbaba. Like the god of the storm, he will trample us down. When the text of Tablet 5 resumes, the heroes are face to face with the forest's guardian. Humbaba opened his mouth to speak, saying to Gilgamesh, "Let fools take counsel, Gilgamesh, with the rude and brutish. Why have you come here into my presence? Come, Enkidu, you spawn of a fish, who knew no father, hatchling of terrapin and turtle, who sucked no mother's milk. In your mouth I watched you, but near you I went not. Would your have filled my belly? Now in treachery you bring before me Gilgamesh, and stand there, Enkidu, like a warlike stranger. I will slit the throat and gullet of Gilgamesh. I will feed his flesh to the locust bird, ravening, eagle, and vulture." Gilgamesh opened his mouth to speak, saying to Enkidu, "My friend, Humbaba's features have changed. Though boldly we came up to his lair to defeat him, yet my heart will not quickly." Enkidu opened his mouth to speak, saying to Gilgamesh, "Why, my friend, do you speak like a weakling? With your spineless words, you make me despondent. Now, my friend, but one is our task. The copper is already pouring into the mold. To stoke the furnace for an hour. 2. The coals for an hour. To send the deluge is to crack the whip. Don't draw back. Don't make a retreat. Make your blow mighty." He smote the ground and faced him head on. At the heels of their feet the earth burst asunder. They shattered as they whirled. Mounts Sirion and Lebanon, black became the clouds of white, raining down on them, death like a mist. Shamash roused against Humbaba the mighty gale winds, south wind, north wind, east wind, and west wind, blast, counterblast, typhoon, hurricane, and tempest, devil wind, frost wind, gale, and tornado. There rose 13 winds, and the face of Humbaba darkened. He could not charge forwards, he could not kick backwards. The weapons of Gilgamesh then reached Humbaba. In a plea for his life, said Humbaba to Gilgamesh, "You are so young, Gilgamesh. Your mother just bore you, but indeed you are the offspring of wild Count Insin. By Shamash's command, the mountains you flattened. O offshoot sprung from Uruk's midst, Gilgamesh the king. Gilgamesh, a dead man cannot, alive for his lord. Spare my life, O Gilgamesh. Let me dwell here for you, in the forest of cedar. Trees as many as you command. I will guard you, myrtle. Timber, to be the pride of your palace." Enkidu opened his mouth to speak, saying to Gilgamesh, "Do not listen, my friend, to Humbaba's words. Ignore his supplications." Humbaba opened his mouth to speak, saying to Enkidu, "You are experienced in the ways of my forest. The ways. Also, you know all the arts of speech. I should have picked you up and hanged you from a sapling at the way into the forest. I should have fed your flesh to the locust bird, ravening eagle, and vulture. Now, Enkidu, my release lies with you. Tell Gilgamesh to spare me my life." Enkidu opened his mouth to speak, saying to Gilgamesh, "My friend, Humbaba, who guards the forest of cedar, finish him, slay him, do away with his power. Humbaba, who guards the forest of cedar, finish him, slay him, do away with his power. Before Enlil the foremost, here's what we do. The great gods will take against us in anger, Enlil in Nippur, Shamash in Larsa. Establish forever a fame that endures. How Gilgamesh slew ferocious Humbaba." Humbaba heard what Enkidu was saying. He lifted his head and Humbaba opened his mouth to speak, saying to Enkidu, "You sit before him like a shepherd, like his hireling, doing his bidding. Now, Enkidu, my release lies with you. Tell Gilgamesh to spare me my life." Enkidu opened his mouth to speak, saying to Gilgamesh, "My friend Humbaba, who guards the forest of cedar, finish him, slay him, do away with his power. Before Enlil the foremost, here's what we do. The great gods will take against us in anger, Enlil in Nippur, Shamash in Larsa. Establish forever a fame that endures. How Gilgamesh slew ferocious Humbaba." Humbaba heard and bitterly cursed them. May the pair of them not grow old. Besides Gilgamesh his friend, none shall bury Enkidu. Enkidu opened his mouth to speak, saying to Gilgamesh, "My friend, I speak to you, but you do not hear me. While the curses, let those curses return to his mouth." Gilgamesh heard the words of his friend. He drew forth the dirk at his side. Gilgamesh smote him in the neck, Enkidu, while he pulled out the lungs. Springing up from the head, he took the tusks as booty. Rain in plenty fell on the mountain. In plenty fell on the mountain. A different version of the slaying of Humbaba and his minions, but better preserved, is given in an old Babylonian tablet from Ishali. Said Gilgamesh to him, to Enkidu, "Now, my friend, we must impose our victory. The oars slip away in the thicket. The oars slip away. Their radiance grows dim." Said Enkidu to him, to Gilgamesh, "My friend, catch a bird, and where go its chicks? Let us look for the oars later, as the chicks run here and there in the thicket. Smite him again, slay his servant alongside him." Gilgamesh heard the word of his companion. He took up his axe in his hand. He drew forth the dirk from his belt. Gilgamesh smote him in the neck. His friend Enkidu gave encouragement. He fell. The ravines did run with his blood. Humbaba the guardian he smote to the ground. For 2 leagues afar, with him he slew. The woods he slew the ogre. the forest's guardian, at whose yell were sundered the peaks of Sirion and Lebanon. The mountains did quake, all the hillsides did tremble. He slew the ogre, the cedar's guardian, the broken, as soon as he had slain all 7 of the oars, the war net of 2 talents weight, and the dirk of 8. A load of 10 talents he took up. He went down to trample the forest. He discovered the secret abode of the gods, Gilgamesh felling the trees, Enkidu choosing the timber. After a gap, the text of Tablet 5 resumes. Enkidu opened his mouth to speak, saying to Gilgamesh, "My friend, we have felled a lofty cedar, whose top thrusts up to the sky. I will make a door, 6 rods in height, 2 rods in breadth, 1 cubit in thickness, whose pole and pivots, top and bottom, will be all of a piece." At this point, Tablet 5 is badly damaged. A better preserved version of the episode is known from an old Babylonian tablet of unknown provenance, now in Baghdad. He went trampling through the forest of cedar. He discovered the secret abode of the gods. The wild-born knew how to give counsel. He said to his friend, "By your strength alone, you slew the guardian. What can bring you dishonor? Lay low the forest of cedar. Seek out for me a lofty cedar, whose crown is high as the heavens. I will make a door of a reed length's breadth. Let it not have a pivot. Let it travel in the door jamb. Its side will be a cubit, a reed length its breadth. Let no stranger draw near it. Let a god have love for it. To the house of Enlil the Euphrates shall bear it. Let the folk of Nippur rejoice over it. Let the god Enlil delight it." The text of Tablet 5 resumes for the final 3 lines. They bound together a raft. They laid the cedar on it. Enkidu was helmsman, and Gilgamesh carried the head of Humbaba. Tablet 6, Ishtar, and the Bull of Heaven. Back in Uruk, Gilgamesh's beauty provokes the desire of the goddess Ishtar, and she proposes to him. Gilgamesh scorns her, reminding her of the fates suffered by her many former conquests. Ishtar is enraged and rushes up to heaven. She persuades Anu, her father, to give her the fiery bull of heaven, the constellation Taurus, so that she can punish Gilgamesh with death. The bull of heaven causes havoc in Uruk, but Gilgamesh and Enkidu discover its weak spot and kill it. They insult Ishtar further and return to the palace in triumph to celebrate their victory. He washed his matted hair. He cleaned his equipment. He shook his hair down over his back. Casting aside his dirty gear, he clad himself in clean, wrapped cloaks around him, tied with a sash. Then did Gilgamesh put on his crown. On the beauty of Gilgamesh, Lady Ishtar looked with longing. "Come, Gilgamesh, be you my bridegroom. Grant me your fruits. Oh, grant me. Be you my husband, and I your wife. Let me harness you a chariot of lapis lazuli and gold. Its wheels shall be gold, and its horns shall be amber, driving lions in a team and mules of great size. Enter our house amid the sweet scent of cedar. As you enter our house, doorway and footstool shall kiss your feet. Kings, courtiers, and nobles shall kneel before you. Produce a mountain and lowland, they shall bring you as tribute. Your goats shall bear triplets. Your ewes shall bear twins. Your donkey, when laden, shall outpace any mule. Your horse shall gallop at the chariot in glory. No ox shall match yours at the yoke." Gilgamesh opened his mouth to speak, saying to the Lady Ishtar, "And if indeed I take you in marriage, body and clothing, whence would come my food and my sustenance? Would you feed me bread that is fit for a god, and pour me ale that is fit for a king? Who is there would take you in marriage? You, a frost that congeals no ice, a louvered door that stays not breeze nor draught, a palace that massacres warriors, an elephant which, its hoods, bitumen that stains the hands of its bearer, a water skin that cuts the hands of its bearer, limestone that weakens a wall of ashlar, a battering ram that destroys the walls of the enemy, a shoe that bites the foot of its owner. What bridegroom of yours did endure forever? What brave warrior of yours went up to the heavens? Come, let me tell you the tale of your lovers, of his arm, Dumuzi, the lover of your youth. Year upon year, to lamenting, you doomed him. You loved the speckled Alulu bird, but struck him down and broke his wing. Now he stands in the woods crying, my wing. You loved the lion, perfect in strength, but for him you dug 7 pits and 7. You loved the horse, so famed in battle, but you made his destiny whip, spur, and lash. You made his destiny a 7-league gallop. You made his destiny to drink muddy water, and doomed Sîn-lēqi, his mother, to perpetual weeping. You loved the shepherd, the grazier, the herdsman, who gave you piles of loaves baked in embers and slaughtered kids for you day after day. You struck him and turned him into a wolf. Now his very own shepherd boys chase him away, and his dogs take bites at his haunches. You loved Ishulanu, your father's gardener, who used to bring you dates in a basket, daily making your table gleam. You eyed him up and went to meet him. Oh, my Ishulanu, let us taste your vigor. Put out your hand and stroke my quim. But Ishulanu said to you, Me, what do you want of me? Did my mother not bake? Have I not eaten? That now I should eat the bread of slander and insults. Should I let only rushes cover me in winter? When you heard what he'd said, you struck him and turned him into a dwarf. You sat him down in the midst of his labors. He cannot go up, he cannot go down. Must you love me also, and deal with me likewise?" The goddess Ishtar heard these words. She went up to heaven in a furious rage. Weeping, she went to Anu, her father. Before Antu, her mother, her tears did flow. "O father, again and again does Gilgamesh scorn me, telling a tale of foulest slander, slander about me and insults too." Anu opened his mouth to speak, saying to the lady Ishtar, "Ah, but was it not you who provoked King Gilgamesh?" So he told a tale of foulest slander, slander about you and insults too. Ishtar opened her mouth to speak, saying to her father Anu, "Father, give me, please, the bull of heaven, so in his dwelling I may slay Gilgamesh. If you do not give me the bull of heaven, I shall smash the gates of the netherworld right down to its dwelling. To the world below I shall grant manumission. I shall bring up the dead to consume the living. I shall make the dead outnumber the living." Anu opened his mouth to speak, saying to the lady Ishtar, "If you want from me the bull of heaven, let the widow of Uruk gather 7 years' chaff, and the farmer of Uruk grow 7 years' hay." Ishtar opened her mouth to speak, saying to her father Anu, "Already I stored, already I grew. The widow of Uruk has gathered 7 years' chaff, the farmer of Uruk has grown 7 years' hay. With the wrath of the bull I shall have vengeance." Anu heard this speech of Ishtar, the bull of heaven's nose rope he placed in her hands. Down came Ishtar, leading it onward. When it reached the land of Uruk, it dried up the woods, the reed beds and marshes. Down it went to the river, lowered the level by 7 full cubits. As the bull of heaven snorted, a pit opened up. 100 men of Uruk fell down it. The second time it snorted, a pit opened up. 200 men of Uruk fell down it. The third time it snorted, a pit opened up, and Enkidu fell in as far as his waist. Enkidu sprang up and seized the bull by the horns. In his face the bull spat slaver with the tuft of its tail. Enkidu opened his mouth to speak, saying to Gilgamesh, his friend, "My friend, we vaunted ourselves in our city. How shall we answer the thronging people? My friend, I have tested the might of the bull. So, learning its strength and knowing its purpose, let me test again the might of the bull. I shall get myself behind the bull of heaven. I will seize it by the tuft of the tail. I will set my foot on the back of its leg, in it. Then you, like a butcher, brave and skillful, between the yoke of the horns and the slaughter spot, thrust in your knife." Enkidu rushed round to the rear of the bull. He seized it by the tuft of the tail. He set his foot on the back of its leg, in it. Then Gilgamesh, like a butcher, brave and skillful, between the yoke of the horns and the slaughter spot, he thrust in his knife. After they had slain the bull of heaven, they bore its heart aloft and set it before Shamash. Stepping back, they fell prostrate in the presence of the sun god. Then both of them together sat down. Ishtar went up on the wall of Uruk the sheepfold, hopping and stamping. She wailed in woe, "Alas, Gilgamesh, who mocked me, has killed the bull of heaven." Enkidu heard these words of Ishtar, and tearing a haunch off the bull, he hurled it towards her. "Had I caught you too, I'd have treated you likewise. I'd have draped your arms in its guts." Ishtar assembled the courtesans, prostitutes, and harlots. Over the bull of heaven's haunch, she began rites of mourning. Gilgamesh summoned all the smiths and the craftsmen. The size of the horns the craftsmen admired: 30 minas of lapis lazuli in a solid block, 2 minas each their rims, 6 core of oil, the capacity of both. He gave them to his god Lugalbanda to hold oil for anointment. He took them in to hang in his chamber. They washed their hands in the river Euphrates, took each other by the hand, and in they came. As they drove along the streets of Uruk, the people were gathered to gaze on them. Gilgamesh spoke a word to the serving girls of his palace. "Who is the finest among men? Who, the most glorious of fellows?" "Gilgamesh is the finest among men. Gilgamesh, the most glorious of fellows." Gilgamesh made merry in his palace. At night the men lay asleep on their beds, and Enkidu, as he slept, was having a dream. Enkidu rose to relate the dream, saying to his friend. Tablet 7. The Death of Enkidu. In a dream Enkidu sees the gods in assembly decree his doom. In anguished delirium he pictures before him the great door of cedar he made for Enlil's temple, and he curses it because it has failed to secure for him the god's favor. He then turns his thoughts to the trapper and the prostitute, the instruments of his introduction to civilization, whom he also blames for his plight. Shamash persuades him to relent, and he returns to bless the prostitute. He has a second dream, in which he is dragged down to the netherworld by the angel of death and granted a vision of hell. After describing the dream to Gilgamesh, he falls sick. Languishing on his deathbed, he complains to Gilgamesh of the ignominy of his fate. Compared with death in battle, he dies. My friend, why were the great gods in council? What followed the opening line of Tablet 7 is still not recovered. The missing episode is known from a fragmentary prose paraphrase written in Hittite, which was based on an older version of the epic. And dawn broke. Enkidu began to speak to Gilgamesh, "My brother, this night what a dream I dreamed. The gods Anu, Enlil, Ea, and celestial Shamash held assembly. And Anu spoke unto Enlil, These, because they slew the bull of heaven, and slew Humbaba that guarded the mountains, dense wooded with cedar. So said Anu, between these two, let one of them die. And Enlil said, let Enkidu die, but let not Gilgamesh die. Celestial Shamash began to reply to the hero Enlil. Was it not at your word that they slew him, the bull of heaven, and also Humbaba? Now shall innocent Enkidu die. Enlil was wroth at celestial Shamash. How like a comrade you marched with them daily. Enkidu lay down before Gilgamesh. His tears flowed down like streams. Oh, my brother, dear to me is my brother. They will never raise me up again for my brother. Among the dead I shall sit, the threshold of the dead I shall cross. Never again shall I set eyes on my dear brother. The text of Tablet 7 resumes with Enkidu's delirium. Enkidu lifted his eyes as though to the door. He talked with the door as if with a man. O door of the woodland, that has no sense, I have understanding that you have not. For 20 leagues I sought for you the finest timber, until in the forest I found a tall cedar. Your tree had no rival in the forest of cedar. 6 rods is your height, 2 rods your breadth, 1 cubit your thickness. Your pole and your pivots, top and bottom, are all of a piece. I fashioned you, I lifted you, I hung you in nipper. Had I but known, O door, that so you would repay me, had I but known, O door, that so you would reward me, I would have lifted my axe, I would have cut you down, I would have floated you down as a raft to Ebabara, the temple of Shamash. I would have brought you, I would have set up the cedar in the gate of Ebabara. In its doorway I would have stood Thunderbird and Bull Colossus. Your entrance I would have placed. I would have the city, Shamash, and in Uruk, because Shamash heard what I said, and in time of peril he gave me a weapon. Now, O door, it was I who fashioned you, who lifted you up. Can I now break you up? Can I now tear you down? May a king who comes after me bear for you hatred, or hang you where you cannot be seen. May he remove my name and write upon you his own. He tore out, he cast it. As he listened to his words, all of a sudden his tears were flowing. As Gilgamesh listened to the words of Enkidu, his friend, all of a sudden his tears were flowing. Gilgamesh opened his mouth to speak, saying to Enkidu, my friend, in preeminent, do you, who had understanding and reason, now speak profanity? Why, my friend, does your heart talk profanity? The dream was special, great the anxiety. Your feverish lips were buzzing like flies. The misgivings were great, the dream was rare. To the one who survives the gods, leave grieving. The dream leaves sorrow to the one who survives. The great gods I'll beseech in supplication. Let me seek out Shamash. I'll appeal to your God. In your presence I will pray to Anu, father of the gods. May great counselor Enlil hear my prayer in your presence. May my entreaty find favor with Ea. I will fashion your statue in gold without limit. My friend, give no silver, give no gold, give no. The word Enlil spoke is not like the gods. What he commands, he doesn't erase. What he sets down, he doesn't erase. My friend, fixed is my destiny. People go to their doom before their time. At the very first glimmer of brightening dawn, Enkidu lifted his head, lamenting to Shamash. Under the rays of the sun his tears were flowing. I appeal to you, Shamash, for my life so precious. As for the hunter, the trapper man, who let me be not as great as my friend. May the hunter be not as great as his friend, destroy his profit, diminish his income. May his share be cut in your presence. The house where he enters, may its God lead by the window. After he had cursed the hunter to his heart's content, he decided also to curse Shamhat the harlot. Come, Shamhat, I will fix your destiny, a doom to endure for all eternity. I will curse you with a mighty curse. My curse shall afflict you now and forthwith, a household to delight in, you shall not acquire, never to reside in the midst of a family. In the young women's chamber you shall not sit. Your finest garment the ground shall defile. Your festive gown the drunkard shall stain in the dirt. Things of beauty you shall never acquire. Of the potter, no, shall you have. No table for a banquet. The people's abundance shall be laid in your house. The bed you delight in shall be a miserable bench. The junction of highways shall be where you sit. A field of ruins shall be where you sleep. The shadow of the rampart shall be where you stand. Thorn and briar shall skin your feet. Drunk and sober shall strike your cheek. Shall be plaintiff and claim against you. The roof of your house no builder shall plaster. In your bedroom the owl shall roost. At your table never shall banquet take place. Because you made me weak. Who was undefiled? Yes, in the wild you weakened me. Who was undefiled? Shamash heard what he had spoken. Straight away from the sky there cried out a voice. O Enkidu, why curse Shamhat the harlot, who fed you bread that was fit for a god, and poured you ale that was fit for a king, who clothed you in a splendid garment, and gave you as companion the handsome Gilgamesh. And now Gilgamesh, your friend and your brother, will lay you out on a magnificent bed. On a bed of honor he will lay you out. He will place you on his left, on a seat of repose. The rulers of the underworld will all kiss your feet. The people of Uruk, he will have mourn and lament you. The thriving people, he will fill full of woe for you. After you are gone, his hair will be matted in mourning. Clad in the skin of a lion, he will wander the wild. Enkidu heard the words of Shamash the hero. His heart, so angry, grew calm. His heart, so furious, grew calm. Come, Shamhat, I will fix your destiny. My mouth that cursed you shall bless you as well. Governors shall love you, and noblemen too. At 1 league off, men shall slap their thighs. At 2 leagues off, they shall shake out their hair. No soldier shall be slow to drop his belt for you. Obsidian he shall give you, lapis lazuli and gold. Earrings and jewelry shall be what he gives you. Ishtar, the ablest of gods, shall gain you entrance to the man whose home is established, and wealth heaped high. For you his wife shall be deserted, though mother of 7. As for Enkidu, his mind was troubled. He lay on his own and began to ponder. What was on his mind he told to his friend. My friend, in the course of the night I had such a dream. The heavens thundered, the earth gave echo, and there was I, standing between them. A man there was, grim his expression, just like a thunderbird, his features were frightening. His hands were a lion's paws, his claws an eagle's talons. He seized me by the hair, he overpowered me. I struck him, but back he sprang like a skipping rope. He struck me, and, like a raft, capsized me. Underfoot he crushed me, like a mighty wild bull, drenching my body with poisonous slaver. Save me, my friend. You were afraid of him, but you. He struck me and turned me into a dove. He bound my arms like the wings of a bird, to lead me captive to the house of darkness, seat of Urkala, to the house which none who enters ever leaves, on the path that allows no journey back, to the house whose residents are deprived of light, where soil is their sustenance and clay their food, where they are clad like birds in coats of feathers, and see no light but dwell in darkness. On door and bolt the dust lay thick. On the house of dust was poured a deathly quiet. In the house of dust that I entered, I looked around me, saw the crowns in a throng. There were the crowned heads who had ruled the land since days of yore, who'd served the roast at the tables of Anu and Enlil, who'd proffered baked bread and poured them cool water from skins. In the house of dust that I entered, there were the end priests and lagar priests. There were lustration priests and lumahu priests. There were the great gods, Gudapsu priests. There was Etana. There was Shakan. There was the queen of the netherworld, the goddess Ereshkigal. Before her sat Belet-Seri, the scribe of the netherworld, holding a tablet, reading aloud in her presence. She raised her head and she saw me. Who was it fetched this man here? Who was it brought here this fellow? The remainder of Enkidu's vision of hell is lost. At the end of his speech, he commends himself to Gilgamesh. I, who endured all hardships with you, remember me, my friend. Don't forget all I went through. Gilgamesh. My friend saw a vision, which will never be equaled. The day he had the dream, his strength was exhausted. Enkidu was cast down. He lay one day sick, and then a second. Enkidu lay on his bed. His sickness worsened. A 3rd day and a 4th day. The sickness of Enkidu worsened. A 5th day, a 6th and a 7th, an 8th, a 9th and a 10th. The sickness of Enkidu worsened. An 11th day and a 12th. Enkidu lay on the bed. He called for Gilgamesh and spoke to his friend. My God has taken against me, my friend. I do not die like one who falls in the midst of battle. I was afraid of combat, and, my friend, one who falls in combat makes his name. But I do not fall in combat, and shall make not my name. The description of Enkidu's final death throes, which no doubt filled the remaining 30 or so lines of Tablet 7, is still to be recovered. Tablet 8. The Funeral of Enkidu. Gilgamesh offers up a great lament for Enkidu. He summons his craftsmen and makes a funerary statue of his friend, and from his treasury he selects the grave goods that Enkidu will take to the netherworld to win the goodwill of the deities who dwell there. As part of the wake, a great banquet is held, and then treasures are offered to the gods of the netherworld and ritually displayed in public. At the very first glimmer of brightening dawn, Gilgamesh began mourning his friend. O Enkidu, whom your mother, a gazelle, and your father, a wild donkey, did raise, whom the wild asses did rear with their milk, whom the beasts of the wild did teach all the pastures. O Enkidu, may the paths of the forest of cedar mourn you, without pause, by day and by night. May the elders of teeming Uruk the sheepfold mourn you. May the crowd who gave us their blessings mourn you. May the high peaks of hills and mountains mourn you, pure. May the pastures lament like your mother. May boxwood, cypress, and cedar mourn you, through whose midst we crept in our fury. May the bear mourn you, the hyena, the panther, the cheetah, the stag, and the jackal, the lion, the wild bull, the deer, the ibex, all the beasts of the wild. May the sacred river Ule mourn you, along whose banks we walked in our vigor. May the pure Euphrates mourn you, whose water we poured in libation from skins. May the young men of Uruk the sheepfold mourn you, who witnessed our battle when we slew the bull of heaven. May the plowman mourn you in his furrow, when he extols your name with his sweet yodel. May the of teeming Uruk the sheepfold mourn you, who sends forth your name with the first. May the shepherd mourn you in his sheepfold, who made sweet for your mouth the milk and butter. May the shepherd boy mourn you, who provided the ghee for your lips. May the brewer mourn you, who provided the ale for your mouth. May the harlot mourn you, who anointed you with sweet-smelling oil. May, in the house of the wedding ceremony, mourn you, who, a wife. May mourn you like brothers. May their tresses be loosed down their backs like sisters, for Enkidu, your mother and father. On this very day I myself shall mourn you. Hear me, O young men, hear me, O elders of teeming Uruk, hear me. I shall weep for Enkidu, my friend, like a hired mourner woman. I shall bitterly wail. The axe at my side, in which my arm trusted, the dirk at my belt, the shield at my face, my festive garment, my girdle of delight, a wicked wind rose up and robbed me. Oh, my friend, wild ass on the run, donkey of the uplands, panther of the wild, my friend Enkidu, wild ass on the run, donkey of the uplands, panther of the wild. Having joined forces, we climbed the mountains, seized and slew the bull of heaven, destroyed Humbaba, who dwelt in the forest of cedar. Now, what is this sleep that has seized you? You've become unconscious. You do not hear me. But he lifted not his head. He felt his heart, but it beat no longer. He covered, like a bride, the face of his friend. Like an eagle he circled around him, like a lioness deprived of her cubs. He paced to and fro, this way and that. His curly hair he tore out in clumps. He ripped off his finery, like something taboo. He cast it away. At the very first glimmer of brightening dawn, Gilgamesh sent forth a call to the land. O forge master, lapidary, coppersmith, goldsmith, jeweler, fashion my friend. He made a statue of his friend. The limbs of my friend shall be of. Your eyebrows shall be of lapis lazuli. Your chest of gold. Your body shall be of. I shall lay you out on a magnificent bed. I shall lay you out on a bed of honor. I shall place you on my left, on a seat of repose. The rulers of the underworld will all kiss your feet. The people of Uruk I shall have mourn and lament you. And the thriving people I shall fill full of woe for you. After you are gone, my hair will be matted in mourning. Clad in the skin of a lion, I shall wander the wild. At the very first glimmer of brightening dawn, Gilgamesh arose and entered his treasury. He undid its ceilings, inspected the gems, obsidian, carnelian, lapis lazuli, alabaster. Skillfully worked, he provided for his friend. Of X plus 10 minas of gold, he provided for his friend. Of X minas of gold, he provided for his friend. Of X minas of gold, he provided for his friend. Of X minas of gold, he provided for his friend. Between them, mounted in 30 minas of gold, was there, he provided for his friend. Was there, he provided for his friend. Was there thickness? Was there, he provided for his friend. Large, he provided for his friend. Of his waist, he provided for his friend. 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 Of his feet, he provided for his friend. Of X talents of ivory, of which the handle was X minus of gold, he provided for his friend. Mighty of its arm, he provided for his friend. Of which the quiver was, and the handle of talent gold, he provided for his friend. Of his arm was ivory, of which the handle was 40 minas of gold, he provided for his friend. 3 cubits was its length, was its thickness, he provided for his friend. Of fine gold, of carnelian, rod of iron, holder, a wild bull, for his friend. He butchered fattened oxen and sheep, piled them high for his friend. Shamash, they carried all the meat to the rulers of the underworld, the great Queen Ishtar, a throw stick of the gleaming wood. For the great Queen Ishtar he displayed to the sun god. May the great Queen Ishtar accept this. May she welcome my friend and walk at his side. For the god Nimra, sit, he displayed to the sun god. May Nimra sit, accept this. May he welcome my friend and walk at his side. A flask of lapis lazuli. For Ereshkigal, the queen of the netherworld, he displayed to the sun god. May Ereshkigal, the queen of the teeming netherworld, accept this. May she welcome my friend and walk at his side. A flute of carnelian. For Dumuzi, the shepherd beloved of Ishtar, he displayed to the sun god. May Dumuzi, the shepherd beloved of Ishtar, accept this. May he welcome my friend and walk at his side. A chair of lapis lazuli, a staff of lapis lazuli. For Namtar, the vizier of the netherworld, he displayed to the sun god. May Namtar, the vizier of the teeming netherworld, accept this. May he welcome my friend and walk at his side. For Hushbisha, the stewardess of the netherworld, he displayed to the sun god. May Hushbisha, the stewardess of the teeming netherworld, accept this. May she welcome my friend and walk at his side. He had made a clasp of silver, a bracelet of, for Kasu Tabat, the sweeper of Ereshkigal, he displayed to the sun god. May Kasu Tabat, the sweeper of Ereshkigal, accept this. May he welcome my friend and walk at his side. May my friend not, nor become sick at heart. Of alabaster, the inside inlaid with lapis lazuli and carnelian, depicting an image of the cedar forest, inlaid with carnelian. For Ninshuluha, the cleaner of the house, he displayed to the sun god. May Ninshuluha, the cleaner of the house, accept this. May she welcome my friend and walk at his side. May she, before my friend, may my friend not, nor become sick at heart. a double-edged dagger with the haft of lapis lazuli adorned with an image of the pure Euphrates, for Bibu, the butcher of the netherworld, he displayed to the sun god. May Bibu, the butcher of the teeming netherworld, accept this. May he welcome my friend and walk at his side. With a back of alabaster, for Dumuzi Abzu, the scapegoat of the netherworld, he displayed to the sun god. May Dumuzi Abzu, the scapegoat of the teeming netherworld, accept this. May he welcome my friend and walk at his side. The top of which was lapis lazuli inlaid with carnelian, for he displayed to the sun god. May accept this. May he welcome my friend and walk at his side. When the text resumes after a lacuna, the speaker is someone other than Gilgamesh, which we, their names, judge of the Anunnaki. Gilgamesh heard these words. He conceived the idea of damming the river. At the very first glimmer of brightening dawn, Gilgamesh opened his gate. He brought out a great table of elamaku wood. He filled with honey a dish of carnelian. He filled with ghee a dish of lapis lazuli. He decorated and displayed it to the sun god. He displayed to the sun god. The rest of the description of Enkidu's funeral, which would have occupied the remaining 30 or so lines of Tablet 8, is yet to come to light. Tablet 9, The Wanderings of Gilgamesh. In mourning for Enkidu, whose death has brought home to him his own mortality, Gilgamesh leaves Uruk to wander the earth in search of the immortal Utnapishti, whose secret he covets. Pressing on to the end of the world, he comes to the mountains where the sun sets and rises and asks the help of the Scorpion Man who guards the way under the mountains. Unable to convince Gilgamesh of the danger he courts, the Scorpion Man allows him to pass, and Gilgamesh races against time to complete the path of the sun before the sun can catch up with him. He reaches the far end of the tunnel just in time and finds himself in a garden of jewels. For his friend Enkidu, Gilgamesh did bitterly weep as he wandered the wild. I shall die, and shall I not then be as Enkidu? Sorrow has entered my heart. I am afraid of death, so I wandered the wild to find Utnapishti, son of Ubar-Tutu. On the road, traveling swiftly, I came one night to a mountain pass. I saw some lions and grew afraid. I lifted my head to the moon in prayer. To Sîn, the lamp of the gods, went to supplications, O Sîn, and keep me safe. That night he lay down, then woke from a dream. In the presence of the moon, he grew glad of life. He took up his axe in his hand. He drew forth the dirk from his belt. Like an arrow among them he fell. He smote the lions. He killed them and scattered them. The lacuna that intervenes here can be filled in part with text from an old Babylonian tablet, reportedly from Sippar. He clad himself in their skins. He ate their flesh. Gilgamesh dug wells that never existed before. He drank the water as he chased the winds. Shamash grew worried, and bending down, he spoke to Gilgamesh. O Gilgamesh, where are you wandering? The life that you seek, you never will find. Said Gilgamesh to him, to the hero Shamash. After roaming, wandering all through the wild, when I enter the netherworld, will rest be scarce. I shall lie there, sleeping, all down the years. Let my eyes see the sun and be sated with light. The darkness is hidden. How much light is there left? When may the dead see the rays of the sun? The text of Tablet 9 resumes. To Mashu's twin mountains he came, which daily guard the rising sun, whose tops support the fabric of heaven, whose base reaches down to the netherworld. There were scorpion men guarding its gate, whose terror was dread, whose glance was death, whose radiance was fearful, overwhelming the mountains. At sunrise and sunset they guarded the sun. Gilgamesh saw them. In fear and dread he covered his face. Then he collected his wits and drew nearer their presence. The Scorpion Man called to his mate. He who has come to us, flesh of the gods, is his body. The Scorpion Man's mate answered him. 2/3 of him is God, and 1/3 human. The Scorpion Man called out, saying a word to King Gilgamesh, flesh of the gods. How did you come here? Such a far road. How did you get here, to be in my presence? How did you cross the seas, whose passage is perilous? Let me learn of your journey. Where your face is turned. Let me learn of your journey. When the text resumes after a lacuna, Gilgamesh is explaining his quest. I am seeking the road of my forefather, Utnapishti, who attended the gods' assembly and found life eternal. Of death and life he shall tell me the secret. The Scorpion Man opened his mouth to speak, saying to Gilgamesh, Never before, O Gilgamesh, was there one like you. Never did anyone travel the path of the mountain. For 12 double hours its interior extends. The darkness is dense, and light is there none. For the rising of the sun, for the setting of the sun, for the setting of the... They sent forth. And you, how will you? Will you go in? After a long lacuna, the text resumes with the end of Gilgamesh's reply. Through sorrow, by frost and by sunshine, my face is burnt. Through exhaustion, now you. The Scorpion Man opened his mouth to speak, saying a word to King Gilgamesh, flesh of the gods. Go, Gilgamesh, may the mountains of Mashu allow you to pass. May the mountains and hills watch over your going. Let them help you in safety to continue your journey. May the gate of the mountains open before you. Gilgamesh heard these words. What the Scorpion Man had told him, he took to heart. He took the path of the sun god. At 1 double hour, the darkness was dense, and light was there none. It did not allow him to see behind him. At 2 double hours, the darkness was dense, and light was there none. It did not allow him to see behind him. At 3 double hours, the darkness was dense, and light was there none. It did not allow him to see behind him. At 4 double hours, the darkness was dense, and light was there none. It did not allow him to see behind him. At 5 double hours, the darkness was dense, the light there was none. It did not allow him to see behind him. On reaching 6 double hours, the darkness was dense, and light there was none. It did not allow him to see behind him. On reaching 7 double hours, the darkness was dense, and light there was none. It did not allow him to see behind him. At 8 double hours, he was hurrying. The darkness was dense, and light was there none. It did not allow him to see behind him. At 9 double hours, the north wind, his face, the darkness was dense, and light there was none. It did not allow him to see behind him. On reaching 10 double hours, was very near. On reaching 11 double hours, a journey remained of 1 double hour. At 12 double hours, Gilgamesh came out in advance of the sun. There was brilliance. He went straight as soon as he saw them. 2. The trees of the gods. A carnelian tree was in fruit, hung with bunches of grapes, lovely to look on. A lapis lazuli tree bore foliage, in full fruit and gorgeous to gaze on. Cypress, cedar, its leaf stems were of pappardelle stone and sea coral, sassu stone. Instead of thorns and briars, there grew stone vials. He touched a carob. It was a bashmu stone, agate, and hematite. As Gilgamesh walked about, she lifted her head in order to watch him. Table 10. At the edge of the world, beyond the garden by the seashore, lives a wise old goddess. She spies a forbidding figure in the distance and, taking him to be a hunter, bars the door of her tavern. Gilgamesh hears her and threatens to break in. She asks who he is. He tells her how his friend had died and how much he now fears death. And he asks her aid in crossing the sea to find Utnapishti. She warns him of the futility of his quest and the dangers of the waters of death, but at length tells him where to find Utnapishti's ferryman, Ur-Shanabi, with his crew of stone ones. Gilgamesh rushes down on the ferryman and his strange companions. When the fighting is over, he explains his quest to Ur-Shanabi and asks his aid in finding Utnapishti. Ur-Shanabi reveals that Gilgamesh has hindered his own progress by smashing the stone ones, but he instructs Gilgamesh to make punting poles of immense length as an alternative means of propulsion. They embark on the boat with the poles. When the poles are all gone, Gilgamesh uses the ferryman's garment to make a sail, and they cross the waters of death. Having landed, Gilgamesh tells his story to Utnapishti. Utnapishti reminds him of the duties of kings and discourses on the inevitability of death and the fleeting nature of life. Shūtur was a tavern keeper who lived by the seashore. There she dwelt, in an inn by the seashore. Pot stands she had, and vats all of gold. She was swathed in hoods and veiled with veils. Gilgamesh came wandering. He was clad in a pelt and fearful to look on. The flesh of the gods he had in his body, but in his heart there was sorrow. His face resembled one come from afar. As the tavern keeper watched him in the distance, talking to herself, she spoke a word, taking counsel in her own mind. For sure this man is a hunter of wild bulls, but where does he come from? Making straight for my gate. Thus the tavern keeper saw him, and barred her gate, and went up on the roof. But Gilgamesh gave ear to. He lifted his chin and turned towards her. Said Gilgamesh to her, to the tavern keeper, Tavern keeper, why did you bar your gate as soon as you saw me? You barred your gate and went up on the roof. I shall smash down the door. I shall shatter the bolts. Said the tavern keeper to him, to Gilgamesh, I barred my gate. I went up on the roof. Let me learn of your journey. Said Gilgamesh to her, to the tavern keeper, my friend Enkidu and I. Having joined forces, we climbed the mountains, seized and slew the bull of heaven, destroyed Humbaba, who dwelt in the forest of cedar, killed lions in the mountain passes. Said the tavern keeper to him, to Gilgamesh, if you and Enkidu were the ones who slew the guardian, destroyed Humbaba, who dwelt in the forest of cedar, killed lions in the mountain passes, seized and slew the bull, come down from heaven, why are your cheeks so hollow, your face so sunken, your mood so wretched, your visage so wasted? Why in your heart does sorrow reside, and your face resemble one come from afar? Why are your features burnt by frost and by sunshine? And why do you wander the wild in lion's garb? Said Gilgamesh to her, to the tavern keeper, why should my cheeks not be hollow, my face not sunken, my mood not wretched, my visage not wasted? Should not sorrow reside in my heart, and my face not resemble one come from afar? Should not my features be burnt by frost and by sunshine, and should I not wander the wild in lion's garb? My friend, a wild ass on the run, donkey of the uplands, panther of the wild. My friend Enkidu, a wild ass on the run, donkey of the uplands, panther of the wild. My friend, whom I loved so dear, who with me went through every danger. My friend Enkidu, whom I loved so dear, who with me went through every danger. The doom of mortals overtook him. 6 days I wept for him, and 7 nights I did not surrender his body for burial, until a maggot dropped from his nostril. Then I was afraid that I too would die. I grew fearful of death, and so wandered the wild. What became of my friend was too much to bear. So, on a far road I wandered the wild. What became of my friend Enkidu was too much to bear. So, on a far path I wandered the wild. How can I keep silent? How can I stay quiet? My friend, whom I loved, has turned to clay. My friend Enkidu, whom I loved, has turned to clay. Shall I not be like him? and also lie down, never to rise again, through all eternity. Said Gilgamesh to her, to the tavern keeper, Now, O tavern keeper, where is the road to Utnapishti? What is its landmark? Tell me, give me its landmark. If it may be done, I will cross the ocean. If it may not be done, I will wander the wild. Said the tavern keeper to him, to Gilgamesh, O Gilgamesh, there never has been a way across, nor since olden days can anyone cross the ocean. Only Shamash the hero crosses the ocean, apart from the sun god, who crosses the ocean. The crossing is perilous, its way full of hazard, and midway lie the waters of death, blocking the passage forward. So besides, Gilgamesh, once you have crossed the ocean, when you reach the waters of death, what then will you do? Gilgamesh, there is Ur-Shanabi, the boatman of Utnapishti, and the stone ones are with him, as he picks a pine clean in the midst of the forest. Go then, let him see your face. If it may be done, go across with him. If it may not be done, turn around and go back. Gilgamesh heard these words. He took up his axe in his hand. He drew forth the dirk from his belt. Forward he crept, and on them rushed down. Like an arrow, he fell among them. In the midst of the forest, his shout resounded. Ur-Shanabi saw the bright. He took up an axe, and him. But he, Gilgamesh, struck his head. He seized his arm and pinned him down. They took fright, the stone ones, who crewed the boat, who were not harmed by the waters of death. The wide ocean has the waters. He stayed, not his hand. He smashed them in his fury. He threw them in the river. What happened next is best preserved in the old Babylonian tablet reportedly from Sippar. He came back to stand over him, as Ur-Shanabi looked him in the eye. Said Ur-Shanabi to him, to Gilgamesh, Tell me, what is your name? I'm Ur-Shanabi of Utnapishti the distant. Said Gilgamesh to him, to Ur-Shanabi, Gilgamesh is my name, who came from Uruk-Iana, who wound away around the mountains, the hidden road where rises the sun. The text of Tablet 10 resumes. Said Ur-Shanabi to him, to Gilgamesh, Why are your cheeks so hollow, your face so sunken, your mood so wretched, your visage so wasted? Why in your heart does sorrow reside, and your face resemble one come from afar? Why are your features burnt by frost and by sunshine, and why do you wander the wild in lion's garb? Said Gilgamesh to him, to the boatman of Ur-Shanabi, Why should my cheeks not be hollow, my face not sunken, my mood not wretched, my visage not wasted? Should not sorrow reside in my heart, and my face not resemble one come from afar? Should not my features be burnt by frost and by sunshine? And should I not wander the wild in lion's garb? My friend, a wild ass on the run, donkey of the uplands, panther of the wild. My friend Enkidu, a wild ass on the run, donkey of the uplands, panther of the wild. Having joined forces, we climbed the mountains, seized and slew the bull of heaven, destroyed Humbaba, who dwelt in the forest of cedar, killed lions in the mountain passes. My friend, whom I loved so dear, who with me went through every danger. My friend Enkidu, whom I loved so dear, who with me went through every danger. The doom of mortals overtook him. 6 days I wept for him, and 7 nights I did not surrender his body for burial, until a maggot dropped from his nostril. Then I was afraid that I too would die. I grew fearful of death, so wandered the wild. What became of my friend was too much to bear, so on a far road I wandered the wild. What became of my friend Enkidu was too much to bear, so on a far path I wandered the wild. How can I keep silent? How can I stay quiet? My friend, whom I loved, has turned to clay. My friend Enkidu, whom I loved, has turned to clay. Shall I not be like him, and also lie down, never to rise again through all eternity? Said Gilgamesh to him, to Ur-Shanabi, the boatman, Now, Ur-Shanabi, where is the road to Utnapishti? What is its landmark? Tell me, give me its landmark. If it may be done, I will cross the ocean. If it may not be done, I will wander the wild. Said Ur-Shanabi to him, to Gilgamesh, Your own hands, O Gilgamesh, have prevented your crossing. You smashed the stone ones, threw them in the river. The stone ones are smashed, and the pine is not stripped. Take up, O Gilgamesh, your axe in your hand, go down to the forest and cut 300 punting poles, each 5 rods in length. Trim them and furnish them, each with a boss, then bring them here into my presence. Gilgamesh heard these words. He took up his axe in his hand. He drew forth the dirk from his belt. He went down to the forest and cut 300 punting poles, each 5 rods in length. He trimmed them and furnished them, each with a boss. Then he brought them to Ur-Shanabi, the boatman. Gilgamesh and Ur-Shanabi crewed the boat. They launched the craft and crewed it themselves. In 3 days they made a journey of a month and a half, and Ur-Shanabi came to the waters of death. Said Ur-Shanabi to him, to Gilgamesh, Set to, O Gilgamesh, take the first punting pole. Let your hand not touch the waters of death, lest you wither it. Take a second punting pole, Gilgamesh, a third and a fourth. Take a fifth punting pole, Gilgamesh, a sixth and then a seventh. Take an eighth punting pole, Gilgamesh, a ninth and a 10th. Take an 11th punting pole, Gilgamesh, and a 12th. At 120 double furlongs, Gilgamesh had used all the punting poles. So he, Ur-Shanabi, undid his clothing. Gilgamesh stripped off his garment. With arms held aloft, he made a yard arm. Utnapishti was watching Gilgamesh in the distance. Talking to himself, he spoke a word, taking counsel in his own mind. Why are the boat's stone ones all broken, and aboard it one who is not its master? He who comes is no man of mine, but on the right I am looking, but he is no man of mine. He is not mine, the boatman, the man who. Gilgamesh drew near to the quayside. Said Gilgamesh to him, to Utnapishti, Utnapishti, who after the deluge, what? Said Utnapishti to him, to Gilgamesh, why are your cheeks so hollow, your face so sunken, your mood so wretched, your visage so wasted? Why in your heart does sorrow reside, and your face resemble one come from afar? Why are your features burnt by frost and by sunshine, and why do you wander the wild in lion's garb? Said Gilgamesh to him, to Utnapishti, why should my cheeks not be hollow, my face not sunken, my mood not wretched, my visage not wasted? Should not sorrow reside in my heart, and my face not resemble one come from afar? Should not my features be burnt by frost and by sunshine, and should I not wander the wild in lion's garb? My friend, a wild ass on the run, donkey of the uplands, panther of the wild. My friend Enkidu, a wild ass on the run, donkey of the uplands, panther of the wild. Having joined forces, we climbed the mountains, seized and slew the bull of heaven, destroyed Humbaba, who dwelt in the forest of cedar, killed lions in the mountain passes. My friend, whom I loved so dear, who with me went through every danger. My friend Enkidu, whom I loved so dear, who with me went through every danger. The doom of mortals overtook him. 6 days I wept for him, and 7 nights I did not surrender his body for burial, until a maggot dropped from his nostril. Then I was afraid that I too would die. I grew fearful of death, and so wandered the wild. What became of my friend was too much to bear. So on a far road I wandered the wild. What became of my friend Enkidu was too much to bear. So on a far path I wandered the wild. How can I keep silent? How can I stay quiet? My friend whom I loved has turned to clay. My friend Enkidu, whom I loved, has turned to clay. Shall I not be like him and also lie down, never to rise again, through all eternity? Said Gilgamesh to him, to Utnapishti. I thought, I will find Utnapishti in the distant, of whom men tell. And I wandered journeying through every land. Many times I passed through terrible mountains. Many times I crossed and recrossed all the oceans. Of slumber sweet my face had too little. I scourged myself by going sleepless. I have filled my sinews with sorrow. And what have I achieved by my toil? I had yet to reach the tavern keeper. My clothing was worn out. I had killed bear, hyena, lion, panther, cheetah, deer, ibex, the beasts and game of the wild. I ate their flesh, their pelts I flayed. Now let the gate of sorrow be barred. Let its door be sealed with tar and pitch. For my sake they shall interrupt the dancing no more. For me, happy and carefree, said Utnapishti to him, to Gilgamesh. Why, Gilgamesh, do you ever chase sorrow? You, who are built from God's flesh and human, whom the gods did fashion like your father and mother. Did you ever, Gilgamesh, compare your lot with the fool? They placed a throne in the assembly and told you, sit. The fool gets left over yeast instead of fresh ghee, bran and grist instead of best flour. He is clad in a rag instead of fine garments. Instead of a belt, he is girt with old rope, because he has no advisers to guide him. His affairs lack counsel. Have thought for him, Gilgamesh, who is their master, as many as the moon and the gods of the night. At night the moon travels. The gods stay awake, and, wakeful, unsleeping, from olden times is set. Now consider your support. If, Gilgamesh, the temples of the gods have no provisioner, the temples of the goddesses, they, the gods, for he made, for a gift he, they will cast down. Enkidu indeed, they took to his doom, but you toiled away, and what did you achieve? You exhaust yourself with ceaseless toil, you fill your sinews with sorrow. Bringing forward the end of your days, man is snapped off like a reed in a cane brake. That comely young man, the pretty young woman, all too soon in their prime, death abducts them. No one at all sees death. No one at all sees the face of death. No one at all hears the voice of death. Death so savage, who hacks men down. Ever do we build our households. Ever do we make our nests. Ever do brothers divide their inheritance. Ever do feuds arise in the land. Ever the river has risen and brought us the flood. The mayfly floating on the water. On the face of the sun, its countenance gazes. Then all of a sudden, nothing is there. The abducted and the dead, how alike is their lot. But never was drawn the likeness of death. Never in the land did the dead greet a man. The Anunnaki, the great gods, held an assembly. Memetum, maker of destiny, fixed fates with them. Both death and life they have established. But the day of death they do not disclose. Tablet 11, Immortality Denied. Gilgamesh asks Utnapishti how he gained eternal life, and bears how Utnapishti survived the deluge and was given immortality by the gods as a result. Utnapishti suggests Gilgamesh go without sleep for a week. Gilgamesh fails the test and realizes in despair that if he cannot beat sleep, he has no hope of conquering death. Utnapishti commands his ferryman to have Gilgamesh bathe and dress himself in more kingly garments, and to escort him back to Uruk. Utnapishti's wife counsels him to give the departing hero the customary present for his journey. Utnapishti tells Gilgamesh how, deep under the sea, a plant like coral grows that has the property of rejuvenation. Gilgamesh dives to the seabed and retrieves it. He and Ur-Shanabi leave for Uruk. Stopping at a welcoming pool, Gilgamesh bathes in its water, and a snake seizes on his inattention to steal the precious plant. Knowing that he will never rediscover the exact spot where he dived, Gilgamesh realizes at last that all his labors have been in vain. His hopes are destroyed. It would have been better not to have met Utnapishtim at all. He and Ur-Shanabi arrive in Uruk, where, with words that echo the prologue, Gilgamesh shows the ferryman the walls that will be his enduring monument. Said Gilgamesh to him, to Utnapishtim the distant, I look at you, Utnapishtim. Your form is no different. You're just like me. You're not any different. You're just like me. I was fully intent on making you fight, but now in your presence my hand is stayed. How was it you stood with the gods in assembly? How did you find the life eternal? Said Utnapishtim to him, to Gilgamesh, let me disclose, O Gilgamesh, a matter most secret. To you I will tell a mystery of gods. The town of Shurpack, a city well known to you, which stands on the banks of the river Euphrates. The city was old. The gods once were in it. When the great gods decided to send down the deluge, their father Anu swore an oath, and their counselor, the hero Enlil, their chamberlain, the god Ninurta, and their sheriff, the god Ennugi. Princely Ea swore with them also, repeating their words to a fence made of reed. O fence of reed, O wall of brick, hear this, O fence, pay heed, O wall. O man of Shurpack, son of Ubar-Tutu, demolish the house, and build a boat, abandon wealth, and seek survival, spurn property, save life, take on board the boat all living things seed. The boat you will build, her dimensions all shall be equal, her length and breadth shall be the same, cover her with a roof, like the ocean below. I understood, and spoke to Ea, my master. I obey, O master, what thus you told me. I understood, and I shall do it. But how do I answer my city, the crowd, and the elders? Ea opened his mouth to speak, saying to me, his servant, also you will say to them this, for sure the god Enlil feels for me hatred. In your city I can live no longer. I can tread no more on Enlil's ground. I must go to the ocean below to live with Ea, my master, and he will send you a rain of plenty, an abundance of birds, a profusion of fishes. He will provide a harvest of riches. In the morning he will send you a shower of bread cakes, and in the evening a torrent of wheat. At the very first glimmer of brightening dawn, at the gate of Atrahasis assembled the land, the carpenter carrying his hatchet, the reed worker carrying his stone, the shipwright bearing his heavyweight axe. The young men were, the old men bearing ropes of palm fiber. The rich man was carrying the pitch, the poor man brought the tackle. By the 5th day I had set her hull in position. 1 acre was her area, 10 rods the height of her sides. At 10 rods also, the sides of her roof were each the same length. I set in place her body. I drew up her design. 6 decks I gave her, dividing her thus into 7. Into 9 compartments I divided her interior. I struck the bilge plugs into her middle. I saw to the punting poles and put in the tackle. 3 myriad measures of pitch I poured in a furnace. 3 myriad of tar I, within. 3 myriad of oil fetched the workforce of porters. Aside from the myriad of oil consumed in libations, there were 2 myriad of oil stowed away by the boatman. For my workmen I butchered oxen, and lambs I slaughtered daily. Beer and ale, oil and wine, like water from a river, I gave my workforce, so then enjoyed a feast like the days of New Year. At sunrise I set my hand to the oiling. Before the sun set the boat was complete. Were very arduous. From back to front we moved poles from the slipway, until 2/3 of the boat had entered the water. Everything I owned, I loaded aboard. All the silver I owned, I loaded aboard. All the gold I owned, I loaded aboard. All the living creatures I had, I loaded aboard. I sent on board all my kith and kin, the beasts of the field, the creatures of the wild, and members of every skill and craft. The time which the sun god appointed. In the morning he will send you a shower of bread cakes, and in the evening a torrent of wheat. Go into the boat and seal your hatch. That time had now come. In the morning he will send you a shower of bread cakes, and in the evening a torrent of wheat. I examined the look of the weather. The weather to look at was full of foreboding. I went into the boat and sealed my hatch. To the one who sealed the boat, Puzur Enlil, the shipwright, I gave my palace with all its goods. At the very first glimmer of brightening dawn, there rose on the horizon a dark cloud of black, and bellowing within it was Adad, the storm god. The gods Shulat and Henish were going before him, bearing his throne over mountain and land. The god Erekal was uprooting the mooring poles. Ninurta, passing by, made the weirs overflow. The Anunnaki gods carried torches of fire, scorching the country with brilliant flashes. The stillness of the storm god passed over the sky, and all that was bright then turned into darkness. He charged the land like a bull on the rampage. He smashed it in pieces like a vessel of clay. For a day the gale winds flattened the country. Quickly they blew. And then came the deluge. Like a battle, the cataclysm passed over the people. One man could not discern another, nor could people be recognized amid the destruction. Even the gods took fright at the deluge. They left and went up to the heaven of Anu. Lying like gods curled up in the open, the goddess cried out like a woman in childbirth. Belet Eli wailed, whose voice is so sweet. The old times have turned to clay, because I spoke evil in the gods' assembly. How could I speak evil in the gods' assembly, and declare a war to destroy my people? It is I who give birth. These people are mine, and now, like fish, they filled the ocean. The Anunnaki gods were weeping with her, wet-faced with sorrow. They were weeping with her. Their lips were parched and stricken with fever. For 6 days and 7 nights there blew the wind, the downpour, the gale, the deluge. It flattened the land. But the 7th day when it came, the gale relented, the deluge ended, the ocean grew calm. That had thrashed like a woman in labor, the tempest grew still, the deluge ended. I looked at the weather. It was quiet and still. But all the people had turned to clay. The floodplain was flat, like the roof of a house. I opened a vent. On my cheeks fell the sunlight. Down sat I. I knelt, and I wept. Down my cheeks the tears were coursing. I scanned the horizons, the edge of the ocean. In 14 places there rose an island. On the mountain of Nimush the boat ran aground. Mount Nimush held the boat fast, allowed it no motion. 1 day and a second, Mount Nimush held the boat fast, allowed it no motion. A 3rd day and a 4th, Mount Nimush held the boat fast, allowed it no motion. A 5th day and a 6th, Mount Nimush held the boat fast, allowed it no motion. The 7th day when it came, I brought out a dove. I let it loose. Off went the dove, but then it returned. There was no place to land, so back it came to me. I brought out a swallow. I let it loose. Off went the swallow, but then it returned. There was no place to land, so back it came to me. I brought out a raven. I let it loose. Off went the raven. It saw the waters receding, finding food, bowing and bobbing. It did not come back to me. I brought out an offering. To the 4 winds made sacrifice. Incense I placed on the peak of the mountain. 7 flasks and 7 I set in position. Reed, cedar, and myrtle I piled beneath them. The gods did smell the savor. The gods did smell the savor sweet. The gods gathered like flies around the man making sacrifice. Then at once Billet-ili arrived. She lifted the flies of lapis lazuli that Anu had made for their courtship. O gods, let these great beads in this necklace of mine make me remember these days, and never forget them. All the gods shall come to the incense, but to the incense let Enlil not come, because he lacked counsel, and brought on the deluge, and delivered my people into destruction. Then at once Enlil arrived. He saw the boat. He was seized with anger, filled with rage at the divine Igigi. From where escaped this living being? No man was meant to survive the destruction. Ninurta opened his mouth to speak, saying to the hero Enlil, who, if not Ea, could cause such a thing? Ea alone knows how all things are done. Ea opened his mouth to speak, saying to the hero Enlil, you, the sage of the gods, the hero, how could you lack counsel and bring on the deluge? On him who transgresses, inflict his crime. On him who does wrong, inflict his wrongdoing. Slack off, lest it snap. Pull tight, lest it slacken. Instead of your causing the deluge, a lion could have risen and diminished the people. Instead of your causing the deluge, a wolf could have risen and diminished the people. Instead of your causing the deluge, a famine could have happened and slaughtered the land. Instead of your causing the deluge, the plague could have risen and slaughtered the land. It was not I disclosed the great God's secret. Atrahasis I let see a vision, and thus he learned our secret. And now, decide what to do with him. Enlil came up inside the boat. He took hold of my hand and brought me on board. He brought aboard my wife and made her kneel at my side. He touched our foreheads, standing between us to bless us. In the past, Udurnapishti was a mortal man, but now he and his wife shall become like us gods. Udurnapishti shall dwell far away, where the rivers flow forth. So far away they took me, and settled me where the rivers flow forth. But you now, who will convene for you the gods' assembly, so you can find the life you search for. For 6 days and 7 nights, come, do without slumber. As soon as Gilgamesh squatted down on his haunches, sleep like a fog already breathed over him, said Udurnapishti to her, to his wife, see the fellow who so desired life, sleep like a fog already breathes over him. Said his wife to him, to Udurnapishti the distant, touch the man and make him awake. The way he came, he shall go back in well-being. By the gate he came forth, he shall return to his land. Said Udurnapishti to her, to his wife, man is deceitful, he will deceive you. Go, bake for him his daily bread loaf, and line them up by his head, and mark on the wall the days that he sleeps. So she baked for him his daily bread loaf. She lined them up by his head, noting on the wall the days that he slept. His first bread loaf was all dried up. The second was leathery, soggy the third. The 4th flour cake had turned to white. The 5th had cast a mold of gray. Fresh baked was the 6th. The 7th still on the coals. Then he touched him, and the man awoke. Said Gilgamesh to him, to Udurnapishti the distant, no sooner had sleep spilled itself over me, than forthwith you touched me and made me awake. Said Udurnapishti to him, to Gilgamesh, come, Gilgamesh, count me your bread loaves. Then you will learn the days that you slept. Your first bread loaf was all dried up. The second was leathery, soggy the third. The 4th flour cake had turned to white. The 5th had cast a mold of gray. Fresh baked was the 6th. The 7th still on the coals. And only then did I touch you. Said Gilgamesh to him, to Udurnapishti the distant, O Udurnapishti, what should I do, and where should I go? A thief has taken hold of my flesh, for there in my bedchamber death does abide, and wherever I turn, there too will be death. Said Udurnapishti to him, to the boatman Ur-Shanabi, may the key reject you, Ur-Shanabi, and the ferry scorn you. You who used to walk this shore, be banished from it now. As for the man that you led here, His body is tousled with matted hair. The pelts have ruined his body's beauty. Take him, Ur-Shanabi, lead him to the wash tub. Have him wash his matted locks as clean as can be. Let him cast off his pelts, and the sea bear them off. Let his body be soaked till fair. Let a new kerchief be made for his head. Let him wear royal robes, the dress fitting his dignity, until he goes home to his city, until he reaches the end of his road. Let the robes show no mark, but stay fresh and new. Ur-Shanabi took him and led him to the wash tub. He washed his matted locks as clean as could be. He cast off his pelts, and the sea bore them off. His body was soaked till fair. He made a new kerchief for his head. He wore royal robes, the dress fitting his dignity, until he goes home to his city, until he reaches the end of his road. Let the robes show no mark, but stay fresh and new. Gilgamesh and Ur-Shanabi crewed the boat. They launched the craft, and crewed it themselves. Said his wife to him, to Utnapishti the distant, Gilgamesh came here by toil and by travail. What have you given for his homeward journey? And Gilgamesh, he picked up a punting pole. He brought the boat back near the shore. Said Utnapishti to him, to Gilgamesh, you came here, O Gilgamesh, by toil and by travail. What do I give for your homeward journey? Let me disclose, O Gilgamesh, a matter most secret. To you, I will tell a mystery of gods. There's a plant that looks like a box thorn. It has prickles like a dog rose, and will prick one who plucks it. But if you can possess this plant, you'll be again as you were in your youth. Just as soon as Gilgamesh heard what he said, he opened a channel. Heavy stones he tied to his feet, and they pulled him down to the ocean below. He took the plant and pulled it up and lifted it. The heavy stones he cut loose from his feet, and the sea cast him up on its shore. Said Gilgamesh to him, to Ur-Shanabi the boatman, this plant, Ur-Shanabi, is the plant of heartbeat. With it, a man can regain his vigor. To Uruk the sheepfold, I will take it. To an ancient, I will feed some, and put the plant to the test. Its name shall be Old Man Grow Young. I will eat it myself, and be again as I was in my youth. At 20 leagues they broke bread. At 30 leagues they stopped for the night. Gilgamesh found a pool whose water was cool. Down he went into it to bathe in the water. Of the plant's fragrance a snake caught scent, came up in silence, and bore the plant off. As it turned away, it sloughed its skin. Then Gilgamesh sat down and wept. Down his cheeks the tears were coursing. He spoke to Ur-Shanabi the boatman, for whom, Ur-Shanabi, toiled my arms so hard, for whom ran dry the blood of my heart. Not for myself did I find a bounty. For the lion of the earth I have done a favor. Now, far and wide, the tide is rising. Having opened the channel, I abandoned the tools. What thing would I find that served as my landmark? Had I only turned back and left the boat on the shore. At 20 leagues they broke bread. At 30 leagues they stopped for the night. When they arrived in Uruk the sheepfold, said Gilgamesh to him, to Ur-Shanabi the boatman, O Ur-Shanabi, climb Uruk's wall and walk back and forth. Survey its foundations, examine the brickwork. Were its bricks not fired in an oven? Did the 7 sages not lay its foundations? A square mile is city, a square mile date grove, a square mile is clay pit, half a square mile the temple of Ishtar, 3 square miles and a half is Uruk's expanse. Tablet 12, Appendix. The last tablet in the series of Gilgamesh, Tablet 12, is not part of the epic at all, but an Akkadian translation of the latter part of the Sumerian poem of Bilgames and the Netherworld. It was appended to the epic presumably because of the relevance of the material. It describes conditions in the Netherworld, where after his death Gilgamesh presides over the shades of the dead. A translation is given in Chapter 5, following that of the original Sumerian poem. The end. So I'll give some of my thoughts on the Epic of Gilgamesh. Firstly, I think it's just an incredible piece of history, but this being such a long time ago, I find it so easy to read. It's as easy to read as anything that we have in modern day. Personally, I find ancient poetry and just this poetry, this story in particular, is just so smooth, so easy to read. And just by nature of its kind of its rhythm, it's interesting to see that this was obviously the style based on it being an oral tradition or an oral story, which kind of lends then back to me being able to present it and read it now, probably easier than other things which aren't originally didn't originate from oral tradition. It's interesting to see some of the patterns in the text, which obviously it doesn't have a strict metrical rhythm, but you can just see a general rhythm in the writing. And it's also interesting to see that there are pieces of this story, like other epic poetry or the other epic poetry that I know of, which being Homer and the Iliad and the Odyssey, they repeat lines and they repeat pieces of the story over and over. And I always wondered why that was. And I learned today that it was to kind of act as that kind of oral kind of that kind of landmark, or just kind of almost a tool for memorization, almost like a chorus in a song. You kind of come back this part that's repeated, and it's refreshing. It serves as almost like a break from the story, which of course sometimes you just don't see that in modern writing. There's just information thrown upon you. So yeah, that's just a really neat thing to see in this uh, in this story. Of course, we don't know probably the exact way this story was to be told. We don't know the exact words, so there's going to be gaps, and we're not probably getting the clear, accurate depiction of this story. But as close as we can come, we can see that it's just a very simple tale, a simple story. Doesn't try to be over, special or grand or anything like that. It's just a very simple mythological story. It's an interesting story, moral about death and this godlike character, Gilgamesh, who kind of comes to meet death and has to kind of come to terms with it. And I guess the moral being that in the end, he's not saved from death. He's not immortal. He is human, so that death is something he will have to face. And like all of us, he just realizes that all he can do is try and kind of live and leave his mark within the confines of his humanly reality. So I guess the message to humans, or people receiving this story, would be, don't try and seek immortality. Don't try and be godlike. Don't try and be, I guess, I don't know, overly special would be the word, but just live within your means, and you may be able to find some sort of immortality within that. I think a lot of times humans can get caught up, and we can try and chase things that are kind of outside of our realm or kind of beyond us, and kind of can make us anxious and tense. Even the story kind of says brings tension to his sinews, to Gilgamesh's sinews. And I think that's something very real for us in modern day. We can definitely feel that when we try and do too much. So maybe a part of the moral could be just trying to, in my opinion, again, this is all my opinion, just to kind of simplify life and just live life as well as you can, and not try and live beyond that. And not that you can't do something great, but just that it will have to be within the bounds of life. And so I'll kind of continue to reflect on that. But that's my initial taking from this story. It's interesting to see. Of course, this is such an old story that this, like anything. Again, I'm not particularly religious person, but you could see how something like this, could have taken the place of the Bible, or served as a Bible to people of this time. Why not? It has a moral about life and death, and humanliness and godliness and things like that. And if you were to read it from a particular perspective, or take it for take a certain message from it, it can serve as, as I just spoke about, what I kind of see as the moral of the story. And that you just be live within your means, live within your limits, and do what you can with that. Not and sure, you can try and go and do big things with that, but at the same time, realize that there will be limits to that, and don't try and do that just to be immortal itself. I don't know how many humans are actually trying to be immortal, but just do it to just live well. So yeah, fascinating story. I'll definitely probably read it again and again, just to try and get a clearer idea of the story. But I absolutely loved it. Can't do better than basically the first story ever. I love reading these types of stories, and I'll probably continue to go back and even read more of them, because again, I think this, coming from an oral tradition, almost makes it better for my presentation purposes. And I just love the style of writing. I think it's almost better than modern day writing, in that our modern day writing can get so convoluted and complex, almost like the moral of the story can try and do too much, and try and kind of go beyond its means. And I just love that these stories were obviously repeated and told by many, many people. So they were probably refined and in a way. So they kind of, out of necessity, these stories needed to be repeated. So out of that necessity, they became more simple. They became clear. They became fluid. They developed a rhythm and a smoothness, which we just obviously don't have today. And it's just really, really neat. And also, coming to mind is the idea that something like this serves as probably the clearest view into life at this time. Of course, we have artifacts, we have buildings, things like that, but that doesn't tell us too much from my view of how they thought, or what they felt. But to see that we can have stories and poems and texts like this probably is the clearest we can come to understanding humans from the time. And we see that they really weren't much different. They thought about the same things, they contemplated the same things, and we can see that really not much has changed to this day. Apart from our technology, I don't think humans really can think much more about life than this, can think much better, have any more uh, revelations on life, bigger revelations on life than this story. So it's really cool to see that first story provides just about all you could need to know about life and death. So that's really cool as well. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Please let me know what you thought in the comments.